Hey guys, another week. Birds of a Feather here live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, BMW of AtlanticCity.com. Also, the first segment brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com. And our poll question this week, guys, it is from ScanzanoSports.com. And pretty simple. Is Nick Foles' bad play against the Raiders more of a trend or an aberration? So we got trend, aberration. Pretty simple. Two choices, guys. I'm Chrome. I'm here with Chux as usual. We got Ryan Brodo over there in the ones and twos. Back with us this week, we got Paulie, contributor to NBC Sports Philadelphia. Welcome back, Paul, again.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, man. So we clinched first place. We clinched the home field advantage in the NFC playoffs this week, guys. It was not the prettiest, but we got there, and there's going to be a lot to talk about. I was in the game. I was at the game in the crowd last night.
You poor man.
Yeah.
I'll say this. What was disappointing, it seemed outside of the stadium, it seemed like a very fired up crowd. And maybe for the first couple of drives, they were fired up. But it just kind of seemed very underwhelming. And it was before really everything started hitting the fan with the sloppiness.
Well, there's nothing to cheer about other than the Ajayi touchdown earlier.
Well, I mean, it was even before then. It just seemed like there wasn't a whole lot of energy. I don't know if people were full from eating their Christmas dinners.
Freezing outside.
It was cold. It was cold, I got to say. It wasn't bad when you first got into the stadium. But as
wind kicked up.
Getting closer to halftime, it started to get really cold. But anyway, guys, join in on the conversation, obviously, on Facebook, on YouTube. We're on Periscope today. We got a lot of good things going on. So let's get at it, guys. What did you think? Let's start with Paulie. Paulie, what did you take away from the game? What was, if there was any positives that you would like to pull from it? I'd like to hear the positives because I know we're going to dig into a lot of negatives in this game. But so let's start with positives. So let's start, Paulie. We'll go to Charles. Ryan, I want you to chime in on this too, and I'm going to jump in.
So I definitely think the defense. We spent the entire last episode of the show last Tuesday breaking down the defense, every nook and cranny of it, and what was going wrong, and how bad they looked against the Giants. They gave up 10 points.
Yeah.
And most of them were on a touchdown that was just it was a bad play by Jalen Mills where he bid on a double move, which is something we talked about that they have to stop doing. Also, Rodney McLeod, if you didn't notice over top, bid on that double move.
Thank you for bringing that up.
So not only was it Jalen Mills, although maybe you don't blame Jalen Mills because maybe he thinks Rodney's there for the deep coverage. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, from what I take it of it, the defensive line looked dominant again. I was really impressed by Chris Long. I thought he was really disruptive all game long. And you know,
the season's going on, it seems like he's getting stronger and he's making more plays.
They're safe because you know what it is. He's in his career, he's never had this situation where he's kind of a rotational guy.
Yeah,
and they're keeping him fresh. And they have. I love that. Actually, that was I kind of enjoyed the nickname that John Gruden gave it, the NASCAR package, where it's the four. It's him, Barnett, and then Graham and Cox on the inside. I do kind of love that. I love all that speed and all that pass rushing ability. And I just think that was what was on display the most out of anything, and I think they looked good, they looked fresh, and I think it was a really good bounce-back game for the defense. So if there's one positive, that's what I'm taking out of it.
Charles, what do you got?
Defense. I think, again, it flip-flops. Like last week, Foles was good, and the defense was horrible. And
I think it's safe as far as the Twitter poll, or as far as the regular poll question here. The defense is going to be our trend going through this. Okay, continue.
Yeah, like I thought the defense bounced back in a big way, and I think it wasn't perfect, but just like Paulie said, 10 points, like 10 points, guys. Even if it was against a bad and not as potent as last year Raiders offense, it was still only 10 points, and you give up that one touchdown to Amari Cooper, which was bad. I think they were playing. I I didn't see if they were playing cover 1 or cover 3, but either way, it was single high safety with Mills again on an island.
They were very fortunate on another
another
deep ball that
thing.
got called back on a penalty.
Yeah,
Thank God.
yeah.
It wasn't obvious.
Oh my gosh,
it
Brandon
was.
Graham had
But
really good pressure.
they did him a favor by pulling.
Yeah, that play
getting
you
the
have
bail out of that.
those defensive backs,
Well,
there's 3 of them. They have to make a play. But
If he doesn't hold Brandon Graham's going to pulverize Carr in that.
That's a
play,
good point. That's a good point.
That play doesn't even
Yeah,
happen.
but the defense played awesome. 5 turnovers, guys.
Yeah.
Forcing 5 turnovers, including Darby's, and that was like when Darby intercepted that ball. That was the craziest I went all game because for one, the whole narrative, like not the whole narrative, but one of the biggest talking points last week was oh, Darby sucks. He's get Rasul in there, but we kept saying like, hey guys, keep a level head. Darby is a feast or famine kind of player. He's gonna give up a bad play or two, but you just gotta kind of hope his skill will get him to make a really, really great play when they need it the most, and that's what happened. That's exactly the type of play that we need from Darby, and we should be expecting from Darby, coming up with that big interception late. It was a great play. He drove on the ball, and he anticipated the throw. It was like you can't take anything away from it. So I think hopefully going forward, people will start to settle down when it comes to defense and see, especially since we're at home. I think we talked about, because I wasn't aware of this, but apparently the defense does play better at home.
They play a lot better at home.
Locking up the
Actually,
number
if
one
you look at the
seed,
numbers, they play a lot better at home.
It's so important. So hopefully the defense can now, like people can be
Find their
a little
stride.
confident in the defense going forward.
Yeah.
More to your point on Darby, too, just to add this, I don't know if you guys saw any of his comments after the game. He said that he felt like he wasn't prepared for the Giants game. He kind of took them lightly because they were without a lot of their wide receivers, a lot of their best players.
And he's young. He'll learn.
Exactly. He's 23 years old.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he admitted it. It's a big – so as much as we were all killing – and rightfully so, a lot of people killed him for the Twitter thing last week. He showed accountability. He apologized for doing that, and now after this week, he had a better game, and he said, "Hey, I wasn't ready for that Giants game. I came in much better prepared for this Raiders game, and it showed."
Yeah, I mean he's a young guy, and he's going to learn, and he'll learn that in the NFL, it's any football game in general, but in the NFL, any given Sunday, anybody can win. You can't take anybody lightly, Ryan.
Absolutely.
The biggest positive for me, I mean, I agree with everything what you've said as far as the defense, yeah, and then the offense, obviously the exact opposite. But for me, the biggest positive was the fact that they showed a way to win when they didn't have anything going for them.
Yeah.
And we talked about this numerous times earlier in the season to where dangerous teams are the teams that can win numerous different ways.
Win ugly. Winning ugly is a show of character for sure.
And we've been lucky enough as fans, they've been lucky enough as a team that we haven't had to win like that at all. Maybe one other time, actually. No, I don't honestly think there was a game this season that we had to come down to it like that, in which it was so low scoring and we were so desperate on offense to where we needed the defense to literally do everything. But guess what? We got to win, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
It's a win. I understand there's some concerns. I get it. Did this look like a Super Bowl team last night? No. Did it look like a playoff team? Barely. But we know when it comes to the defense, they're not nearly as bad as they were last week. And we know the offense isn't nearly as bad as it was yesterday.
That's a great point.
So it's somewhere in the middle. Now, is it going to be somewhere in the middle every game? No, but it's a long season. And as long as we are able to figure it out and we spend a nice couple of weeks, because this is the biggest thing. We have a nice amount of time to put the offense exactly where Foles needs it. You can pretty much refresh and go into it, not like a brand new season, but we're not rushing into anything.
Yeah.
So my biggest positive is that they showed a way to win when they didn't look like they had a chance in hell.
Yeah, and you guys all kind of teed me up because my positive is they showed that they can over the defense, who has definitely needed. They've had some slides and they've needed to step up, particularly the defense or the team just in general showed that against adversity, not playing a perfect game, overcoming even just the little things like the Darby media stuff that went on. Those kinds of distractions that can happen when they were in there and when they needed a turnover, the defense came up with a turnover. Now, the offense, that's a whole other conversation. But in the NFL, it is a long season. Okay, you got 16 games, depending on how long. You have 3 rounds, really, of the playoffs or 4, depending on how, what your seed is. Not every game is going to be a perfect game.
Exactly.
There's going to be ugly games. It's just because almost every game looked so easy for us people forget that there's going to be ugly
Ugly
games.
games,
If
yeah.
this game happened in week 5 or week 6,
Yeah.
we'd still be ecstatic for getting the win.
Exactly.
But
Absolutely.
because
Exactly.
everything has looked so perfect, and
Or if it happened against a quality opponent as well.
Yeah.
If you do this against the Rams, you do this against the Saints, you're just saying, hey, we won. You know what I mean? It's a win is a win.
Yeah.
listen, I mean, it was a similar game against Seattle. They just couldn't overcome those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if anything, it was a sign of growth even coming from that. Okay, we have an ugly game where we're, like you put it so eloquently, things just don't seem to be going as, they need it to be going, but they find ways to get turnovers. The defense made stops when they needed to make stops. And I mean, I know the Raiders are underperforming this year, but they have a good offense.
Yes,
they have
they do.
weapons.
Yeah.
And Marshawn Lynch,
Offensive line is very good.
Yeah.
They have 3 really, really
Amari
good
Cooper's
offensive
no
linemen.
slouch. Even though he's
No.
had issues with drops, like astounding issues with drops, he still gets open
Yeah.
with the best
He's
of them.
One of the best route runners I've ever
Yes.
seen in college.
listen, hey, I mean, I'll take our guys on our team, but if I'm any other team, I'll take Crabtree and Amari Cooper
Please.
and Cook.
Please.
Guys to throw at.
Yeah.
And Marshawn Lynch, as the season has gone on, has started to look
He's
more
still-
and more like
he's
the
still a decent
Marshawn Lynch of
quarterback,
old.
running back. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, you have Gabe Jackson, you have Rodney Hudson, you have Assembly. They're 3 really good interior offensive linemen who were doing a really good job last night. I mean, it was if you're like a guy
Yeah.
who just really, like, I'm sure you saw it as a dude who I know really watches and studies things. That interior matchup was so fun to watch because they were just
Yeah.
beating the crap out of each other
Exactly.
inside. It was fun. It was old school football. It was
Yes,
actually really
yes.
fun to watch.
And and another thing to add on with the defense, like people don't realize. Well, I'm sure that people do, but like the defense, you can't understate the fact that they were playing with unfortunate field position the whole game. How many times did the Raiders, especially in the second half, get the ball like around their own 40 or close to the 50? So that's like you can't give them anything at that point, or else they will get points, and they stopped them.
Yeah, and I'm going to wrap it up here, and then I'm going to go into Facebook because there's definitely some responses on Facebook. But it's not always looking at the record. Again, this is a team that underperformed for most of the season and is now coming to. I feel like, if anything, their offense has looked a little more like what people expected. I don't think their offense is any slouch whatsoever. I think our offense should have definitely been able to perform much better than they did against their defense.
Terrible passing
Yes.
defense, yeah.
Yes.
But I look at this as our defense stepped up against a good offense, looking at where they're at now and where they've been the last few weeks. I mean, how tough did they play New England a couple of weeks ago? I mean, it's just it drives me nuts.
They did beat the Chiefs too.
Yeah, I mean, they
Early in the
played
season.
well against
They
good
are-
teams.
They've had games. They've
Yeah,
had games
they've
that
had
they've
games.
looked good. Yeah.
And Derek Carr's no slouch either. Let's be honest. He's a nice young quarterback, and I think he's going to continue to get better. And I think he's going to be probably a top 10 quarterback in this league.
Yeah.
Sure.
Pretty easily.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to Facebook. Thomas Arnone. What up, Tom? He says aberration. Ralph Delavecchio. What up, boys? Go Birds, baby. Ralph, my man. What's going on, brother? Tom says defense wins championships, and this defense has been great at home. And we touched on that. Absolutely.
That's the only
They're
place they
much
have to
better
win
at
into
home.
the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah. Greg Malakovic, our boy Greg, who shows up, he shows up on the couch every now and then when Paul can't make it. He says it depends on your definition of Nick Foles. If he's GOAT and savior in one that, then it's an aberration. If you think he's average like I do, then it might be a trend. He's not as good as 27-2 in versus the Giants, but he's also not as putrid as he was last night. Now,
Okay,
I agree with
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I agree
think Greg
with that.
is
yeah.
spot on. I mean,
Yes.
the 27-2 is nice to throw out there every now and then, but we understand where he's at. But and we're going to get into Nick Foles much more, but I don't think last night was any indication of, like, this is what we can expect going forward. I know the sky falls in Philly every year.
I know.
And people
Every
wait-
year, every week.
Every day,
people
every
wait-
play.
People wait for the shoe to drop.
As
but,
Asante
like,
said, every play.
yeah. Deion Brown, no aberration. Foles needs to clean up his play, and the O-line was horrible for the early part of the game. Lane Johnson had his worst game thus far as a professional.
No.
Why there? Why then?
No.
Mills
That
out.
is
No.
false.
Thank you, Paulie. Thank you. That is
Hold on.
not true.
Hold on. Why there? Why then? Mills outside of that TD giving up played well from me going back and looking at the tape. Now, I thought Mills definitely had a better game than he's had, but I don't think Lane Johnson had a horrible game last night
He
at all.
didn't
No,
give up
he-
any sacks.
Yeah.
To
How
arguably
many
the
sacks
best
did
pass
Mac
rusher in
get?
the NFL.
I
Yeah.
know.
I
I
can't-
know.
No. No. And I thought,
Don't let the
did you hear
two
it's-
holding penalties.
Yeah,
like,
did you see him what he said after the
Yeah,
game?
I saw.
So
Yeah.
good. I love it. I love that he's. But you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of peak John Runyon, how he had that nastiness about him,
Yeah.
and it went across the whole offensive line. He had that. I feel like Lane Johnson's got a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. I think they need that.
Yeah, they absolutely need that. Chris Rico, both offenses played bad. It wasn't just the Eagles. It was cold, windy, defensively dominated game.
Yes.
And I could tell you it was friggin' freezing last night. No need to panic. The Eagles got the win, which is all that matters in the NFL.
If we're going to talk about like that too with weather, I think it's a fair thing. You don't want to use that as an excuse, but it's a fair point to bring up because Derek Carr, who we just said, is not a bad quarterback. He looked awful. His throws, some of his throws, man, they were hanging up there.
Yeah.
It was just not a good night to throw the football.
No, it wasn't.
So if you're looking for something to kind of, I don't want again not use it as an excuse, but look at something to say, hey, maybe it was just an aberration. I would think that would be one factor.
Yeah.
Frank Vespi says aberration definitely. The lack of whiz hurted us.
Yeah.
But I love that.
too.
I love that Ajayi got plenty of touches. Glad we clinched home field
14.
advantage. The link will be a
16
key
touches,
factor in the
Could use more.
playoffs. A couple more real quick here. They're coming in.
Although the Raiders adjusted as well. I mean,
They did. They loaded the
they
box.
clearly,
They loaded the box and
they
forced
knew
them
what
to
the deal
throw,
was.
yeah.
But again, they
Yeah.
knew what the weather was. That's that's what they did.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read the whole thing Deion Brown says, but he essentially says that, and in some aspects I agree that the fans at the link tend to get spoiled. The crowd definitely seemed flat, which I can agree with because I was there, and he said he was disappointed with the crowd. That's just to sum it up.
I kept hearing that today.
Yeah, I was talking to everybody around, and in fairness, some of the season ticket holders said that a lot of them sold their tickets to people too.
Christmas, yeah.
So you didn't
I
have
get it.
you know, and apparently a lot
It's
of
tough.
them.
It's tough to play a Christmas
From what I
game,
heard
man.
too, a lot of them were like corporate tickets and stuff. So I mean, maybe it's not your typical hardcore
Yeah.
football crowd that
People
was there.
left.
I don't
People
know.
left in the third quarter. So
On top of that, too, the game was pretty flat as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's,
so it's not
all
like,
flat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think it goes hand in
No
hand.
more NFL on Christmas.
Brian
How about that
Wilson,
rule?
bottom line,
I like that
D's
rule.
got to play great. We're not the same offense with Nick under center. I think he's going to be better than last night. I think we agree with that.
yeah.
He better be. That's what he says. That's
Yeah,
but
no,
I
I
agree with
agree.
that
He better
too.
be.
Absolutely.
Yes, he
But we're
better
not
be.
going to be putting up 30 points on these other teams. If D doesn't play well in the playoffs, it'll be a quick exit. I mean, I don't know that we're going to put 30 points up. We know we're not going to put 30
Those
points
days
up
are
against them.
done.
But we can.
Yeah.
But we've shown that we can with Nick Foles. I think that this can be a team that's going to score
I
23.
think it's a bad defense.
23 to 30 points.
This defense has
easily.
proven they can. This heck can hold most teams under 25
Yeah.
points. You know, like
Yeah.
the only quote unquote bad game we talk about is other than the Rams and the Giants games. Like the Seahawks game, everyone's like, "Oh, they were bad." They gave up 23 points in that game. Like everyone harps on that game, but like 23 points
I'm
on
gonna
the
jump-
road.
I'm
Not bad.
going to read a few more here, and then
Yep,
you got
YouTube.
some. I'm sure
YouTube,
you
we
got
got a bunch,
YouTube
yeah.
going too. Foles had a bad game. I'd rather have him have it now rather than later. He needs to stop patting the ball before he throws the. I hate that. That drives me crazy. It's a dead giveaway that he's about to throw.
Not only that, he's hesitant, man. He's not. He's seeing. It's
It-
almost like his brain is working faster than his arm, and that's
Yeah.
not right. Like it's not good. You got
No.
to be on the same page.
Yeah, and it's like a pitcher who's like tipping his pitches essentially. Like
Yeah,
you know
kind
that the
of.
ball's getting ready to get released at some
Kind
point,
of.
or it's coming up.
I think it's more. I think it's higher than that. I almost think it's like a pitcher, like already like aiming a ball. Like you know what I mean? Like instead of just throwing, like he's aiming. Like he's not. He knows where the ball should go, but he hesitates for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know why.
John Skill says, I know you want to look at the bright side, and so do I, but Dan Foles is a mediocre quarterback, period, and that's why he's a backup. Nick Foles could be, all right, he's a backup for us. Nick Foles could be starting on other teams in this league. I'm not saying he'd be a great starter, but he's more than capable. And for us in our situation, to have a guy who knows the offense, who knows the city, and knows what it's like to play in a big game here, he can grind it out, and he can do enough to win.
Enough to win,
What
yes.
you needed to see last night, like I'm not happy with what I saw last night, but again, he needs to have ups and downs. That's what's working. That's working with that first team. It can't all just be rainbows and butterflies, and we know it's not going to be. So
Yep.
now he has stuff to work on to come back into next week. What I really wanted to see was how the defense was going to respond,
And they did.
and I was very encouraged by what I saw with the defense. And in this league, we've talked about it time and again. Defense wins Super Bowls. In the climate of the NFL now, defense wins Super Bowls. You want to have a decent and we have the weapons on offense to compensate the other end of the game. But if you don't have a good defense, your team's going to be shit and you're not going to win Super Bowls.
And a running game. You need to run the game.
And we have a running game.
Yeah, we have a running game.
And I'm glad you brought up the running game because we talked about LeGarrette Blount. I mean, he looks like he's running hurt. I mean, I don't know.
He needs 2 weeks off. It looks like.
And I know we're going to get into should we be starting guys next week or how long. I don't want to dive deep into that, but as far as he goes, I think we all agreed that if there's a guy that you're going to sit next week and let him freshen those legs and get himself ready to go, that's the guy. So that when you get in those situations, in those tight games in the playoffs, he can pound for those yardages that you need.
Exactly.
Hit up
YouTube. We got a bunch. Get into you guys. So we got Renee Ballard. Hello, fellas. Hope your Christmas was everything you hoped it would be.
It sure as hell was.
Yes,
Thank
it was.
you.
It was great. Thank you.
Sixers win, and ugly
fun
as
to
it
watch.
was, an Eagles win, baby.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
2 Philly wins. I'm happy. I'm a happy.
It was
camper.
just nice to watch the Sixers on
was
Christmas
cool.
Day again.
It was
and
cool.
beat the New York Knicks. I loved it.
I forgot what it was like, and that was a good game. Like you want to win games decisively, but just to kind of see the back and forth and really see how good the Knicks are going to be coming up. I mean, they have some really good players on that team.
I love Neely. A lot of people killed that pick, but I love Neely Keena. I think he can play.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It was just it was an exciting Christmas day for us.
And the first game, it teed it off for the whole the rest of the day too,
absolutely
for the NBA. So it was good. Be careful what you pursue. You pursue. That is the whole name. I'm just saying. The O-line needs to get their shit together. We need Wisniewski back. Foles is not trash. He just needs some proper protection. Defense looked great. Renee Ballard again. The win wasn't pretty, but it was gritty. And
Hey, Renee.
O-line
Renee
and
chimes in every week. I love Renee. Hey, Renee.
O-line and Foles did not play well. Snaps were off all. Snaps were low and off all
that's
game.
a good. I forgot that was.
How
bad.
doesn't Alshon even touch the ball? I find it hard
Now,
to believe he didn't
finish.
get open the entire game. Hold on, let me finish our one comment. Good to know that when one phase of our team is down, the other phase picks us up. Last week it was the defense. This week was the offense. Mills biting on the double move, just ugly.
Yeah,
Go
see, now I recorded the game. I want to go back and listen to the commentary of it. But that was so evident with Alshon that it's like, where's the guy? I mean, how is he not? There's no way he wasn't getting – and he was getting open. I just think Foles was missing him on some opportunities. But I thought they covered him very well, too, and he was a focus for the defense. So, I mean, the problem is it should open somebody else up on the field, and I don't think we saw enough of that.
Here's what we've talked – because we talked about this before the extension, when Carson was still healthy, yada, 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 that him and Alshon were just starting to hit their stride. Alshon is so dependent on having chemistry with his quarterback, and it's going to be so hard. And it's just it is what it is. It's going to be so hard for them to develop that chemistry over such a short.
Well, it took a
period
while
of time.
with Carson.
That's what I'm
It
saying.
probably
saying,
took about
yeah.
6-7 weeks with Carson
exactly.
before he hit
So
that stride.
It's almost unfair to expect Foles and him to just have it like that. And it's everywhere he's been. I mean, he was like that with Cutler. I mean, it takes time to build that rapport because he's the type of guy who you have to trust. You have to just throw it up and expect him to come down with it.
100%. I agree to that. Todd Womack. Philly
What's up,
Dilly,
Todd?
guys.
Philly Dilly.
Guys left a message on the phone line, LOL. Positive we kept fighting. Was it just me? But it didn't feel like the link was rocking. You touched on that earlier.
Yeah,
that
it was not. I was there, and it died It was exciting outside of the stadium before we got in there, and it was exciting for about 20 minutes, and then it died. And I will say this, between them playing shitty and how cold it got, especially that second half, I mean, people were like bundled like this. I mean, there were people clapping with gloves, so you're not going to hear that shit either. But yeah, it was not.
I should have went to.
I'll be honest. It wasn't very. it was not a very excited crowd.
Renee Ballard again. The biggest positive is resiliency. It has been our staple all year. I wish I could remember that during the games when I'm screaming like a madwoman, but we keep showing it all year. It's true. David Roska. Rams in the postseason.
David Roska. David.
His Rams do look good.
They do. Hey, listen, I'll tell you what, David. Todd Gurley's winning people fantasy.
I want him to be MVP, please.
Todd Gurley alone is winning fantasy weeks.
Yes.
Alone. He got me 50 points this week.
I want
So
a
thank you, Todd Gurley.
Thank you, Todd Gurley.
So you know what?
Beast.
You know, David, you can keep your Rams, but I'll take Todd Gurley.
Yeah. Todd Gurley is a beast. Todd Womack, very true, Renee. When you are one of the best teams in NFL, everyone is going to give you your best. These games are definitely building blocks. When you can win ugly, you can win any game. You get extra points for style. A win is a win. You don't get extra points for style. And then Renee, one more time. Indeed, there will be ugly games, but to have back-to-back games doesn't look or feel good against bad teams. It is discouraging and scary heading to the playoffs.
No, and I agree. I hear what you're saying, Renee. But again, I want you to look at it this way. With the Raiders, they're a better team than what we've seen this year, and they're starting to play, for the most part, like a better team. So I don't look at this on the same level as the Giants' sloppiness.
Yeah.
And it's very encouraging that the defense was able to shut down what they have a number of weapons on that team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and just to get back to Todd Gurley again, I may be swaying now. He's making one hell of a case for the MVP in this league.
I asked you this like 5 weeks ago. I'm like,
really want him to be MVP.
Gurley?
And you know what? Like, and you were right. You were spot on. But I mean, he was still. He was, to me, the outside looking in, but he was the guy kind of trying to find where the hole in the fence was to creep in, and he's getting there.
Well, he's finishing strong.
You
That's
look
what
at
it's to look at the other candidates. Tom Brady is completely fizzled out. I don't know what Brady's deal is last few
Yes.
weeks.
He got old.
No, don't start with that. He had a few bad games. Let's not start with that. Remember that Cincinnati game? He was done.
I know. I'm not saying he's done. It's just nice to see him fizzle a little bit.
And then Antonio Brown, I thought had just made a huge case saying he got hurt. Obviously, Wentz getting hurt. So I mean,
I think just with the play of Tom Brady alone and I know you don't give it to a guy that doesn't finish the season, but he played enough of the season that I still would even at least have a second thought of, could Wentz win it over him?
You can
make a case,
He'll get votes,
but there's going to be first place votes, or at least votes that are going to be above Tom Brady, and Brady's doing it to himself essentially with his play.
Well, let's go back a month ago, 4 weeks ago, and let's look at the top four MVP candidates. Then it was Wentz, it was Brady,
Wilson.
it was Wilson, and it was Antonio Brown.
Yes.
Well,
and Brown was just getting into the conversation at that point.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely changed because two of those hurt. Wilson might miss the playoffs, and he completely went down.
Let's just
caught up with him.
That Cowboys Seahawks game was terrible. Yeah. That was two so shitty football teams. It was so bad.
And Tom Brady looks like he's 40 right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, for now.
But
you
yeah.
know me.
But they gave away Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Yo.
Oh, can we talk about him later, please?
Man.
You can talk about him now if you want.
I saw
Jimmy G. Well, okay, first, what I was going to say is, you know me and my love for running backs, so I will always pray for a running back to be MVP.
You like running backs?
No.
Really?
But two.
What show is this?
Well, I mean, Brian Westbrook won a lot of MVPs, right?
all those Westbrook MVPs.
My MVP, but two, Jimmy G. Like, I think I was listening to Agree to Disagree on Sunday morning, and I think Tom was like, Jimmy G is finally facing a legit defense. He is going to get annihilated, blah, blah, blah. And what does he do? What does he do? Guys, he is legit. And this is a Niners team, and I'm telling you, because I keep track of the Niners. I like the Niners. They were, like, when I first started watching football as a kid, they were the team that made the Super Bowl, and so I liked them until I really got into football, and then, stuck with the Philly teams, with the Eagles and everything. But I always keep track of the Niners because I like them. I like rooting for them. And to see that team, like,
I'm ashamed to say I still like the Dolphins. I was a Dolphins fan when I was a kid. I'm ashamed to say it now, but
they're playing with, like, half of their roster because so many guys went on IR. Garcon is not there anymore. And
Joe Staley.
Yeah, no, they're done. Like, but he's making these guys like Marquise Goodwin, who now looks like a really, really good number two. He's Trent Taylor, rookie in the slot. George Kittle, an athletic tight end who didn't really understand the position. Who was a mid-round pick. Like,
he crushed it.
My gosh, yeah! Like he's making them look really good, and he's putting them in the best positions to win. Like, I'm telling you guys, like, and that with Kyle Shanahan. Oh my gosh, like, I am so excited for that team. That team looks so good, and I can't wait for this offseason because I feel like one good offseason where they nail free agency, nail a draft.
They nailed the draft this year.
Oh my gosh, they will be I'm telling you, them and the Rams, duking it out for the NFC West division next year will be so entertaining to watch.
I agree.
Well, I was going to say, let's take a step back and look at that entire division now. You got the Seahawks, you have Wilson. You look at the 49ers, Garoppolo. Go to the Rams, Jared Goff. Oh, wait, what the hell's going on with the Cardinals?
Yeah.
Their coach said that, bye-bye, I'm gonna hit the road now.
Give it till April, and then they'll find themselves a quarterback.
But he's not leaving, right?
No, he is.
No.
They said he's parting. They agreed to mutually part ways.
But didn't Tom share something today that it said he's not?
He did,
leaving?
yeah, he did. So who knows?
No, I don't know.
He
There
did
was
say
confusion that he was leaving,
Yeah.
and then it came out where there was a tweet put out that said he's still the head coach and that he's planning on being the head coach. We'll pull the tweet up.
I'll put it to you this way at this moment. There's a question about their coach.
Yes, you
I'll
are
say
correct.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll give you a name, Paul.
Josh Allen.
Baker Mayfield.
No.
Trade up. I'm just saying. I know.
No. Here's the thing. I like Baker Mayfield more than most, but no, I don't want. I mean, I don't want him or Josh Allen to go to a team where they are going to make him play right away because I just don't want that because they should. The only quarterbacks I think that have a shot to play right away are going to be Rosen and Darnold. But yeah,
I don't disagree with you.
If it was still Arians, I would love for him to get his hands on Josh Allen. Love.
Chrome.
Is this so? What
This
we
is,
got?
that's what.
Yeah, so the tweet here, tweeted out by Diana Rossini from ESPN. I'm told as of now, head coach Bruce Arians is not stepping away from the Arizona Cardinals job after the season.
So if he's so here's the thing.
Tom shared that on A2D earlier on the social
Yeah.
media.
Last year, I really wanted them to get Mahomes because I really wanted to see Bruce Arians because Bruce Arians needs him a big arm quarterback. So I really wanted to see him get Mahomes. But now, if he gets Josh Allen, yeah, I like that a lot. Just get a guy to fill in for try to bring Carson Palmer back for 1 year, and develop Josh Allen. I'm a fan of that.
I don't know if they can get through another year. I don't know if Carson Palmer can get
He
through
might
another
not.
year.
Yeah.
No,
He's
he might
breaking
not.
down real quick.
Yeah.
Which I like. By the way, I liked when Palmer went there, and I thought he was a really good quarterback for them for a while. But now they're in a
Well, they're
they're in a
rebuilding.
tough spot.
Yeah, they're
that
rebuilding.
wide
It's-
receiver
it's
core
over
too
now.
has to be rebuilt because you have Larry. Is Fitz coming back?
Larry
another year?
said he's coming back one more
Coming back
year.
One more year,
Signed
but
a
then
one-year
outside of
extension.
him, John Brown is a good wide receiver who can't stay healthy.
Jaron Brown.
No one else is reliable, but they do have David Johnson coming back. So I mean, there
Yeah.
are stuff you have to think. You have to.
Still have
tinker
some really.
with.
They have the good pieces on defense still too.
So you have to tinker with some of that roster, but you get some good pieces in place. They could still be a good team next year.
Going back to Jimmy G, and it ties in with what you just said. Isn't it amazing how a really a young good quarterback can just inject so much
Yes.
life
Yes.
into a football team? That team, like you said, they're playing with a half a deck.
Yeah.
They don't have anything, and they're just winning games because Jimmy G is basically saying, "Hop on, boys," and
Yes.
we're gonna win these damn games.
Oh
and
my
I
God.
love, I'm with you that I am man crush on Jimmy G so hard. I love that guy. I think he's gonna be a stud,
and
he's
funny.
fantastic looking.
Him and
His nickname, my
Yes.
friend gave him the
Handsome
nickname.
Jimmy G.
My friend gave him the nickname Jimmy GQ, so I thought that was pretty,
Yeah,
pretty
no, I
fitting.
love Jimmy G.
we're
man.
sticking with it. We're going
Yeah.
Jimmy GQ.
Yeah.
No, and it's funny too because when you think about other young quarterbacks in the league, and we're definitely going to get into this a little bit later.
Uh-oh.
Very interesting that you talk about guys that infuse energy into a team, and then a team that just looks like it's in shambles. So we'll get into that a little bit later. It's going to lead into our preview for
Little
next
teaser.
week. But back to Facebook. Mark Leibovitz. Mark, what's up, buddy? Foles made his second start this year. Let's not really over concern ourselves with the lack of offense. We know he's not Wentz, nor will he ever be, but we need a better quarterback play against contending defenses. Our defense is the best this year. They step up and win us close games. Michael D'Andrea, in order for this team to go far into the playoffs, Peterson will need to adjust his play calling to better suit him.
I tend to agree with that. Actually,
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see that. I don't think he's calling the same
think he
game
could've-
as he would for Carson.
No, I think though. So for me, I think one of the things with Nick Foles is too, he's really streaky, and that's why he looks really good against the Giants because he got into a flow and he
Yep.
completed some passes and he got into the groove early. Whereas with the Raiders
And
game,
confidence is big.
exactly. I don't
Yep.
think he was able to establish rhythm early, and he just couldn't get it. I think what they should do is short passes, get him in quick rhythm.
Yep.
Maybe hit Alshon on a couple slants, just little stuff to get him get the juices flowing.
And then a
little bit.
sluggo.
And then a sluggo. Sure. No, he's not playing against the Eagles, DB.
By the way, yet again, like every game this year, I feel I might be every game. Torrey Smith makes the first reception of every game on a slant across the middle of the field. Every freaking game. I'm telling you. I noticed
Sometimes it's a 5-yard out route.
Or a 5-yard out.
It's still going to 82, though. It's still going to 82. Our deep ball guy. But Theodore Nicholas, change play calling in playoffs. No one. Oh, I already think I read that one. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Dodie Eberhardt, I have a question. Do you think the Eagles should put in their third string quarterback for next week's game against Dallas, and they should have Nick Foles look at videos and look at all the mistakes so they can fix it for the playoffs? Dodie, we could jump into that now a little bit.
If you want, yeah.
So I know we're going to discuss further in detail, but I want to make sure that we answer her question. I think that it's more imperative for Nick Foles to play this in, I think, the entire game, or at least three quarters. 'Cause what we've seen in the last 2 weeks is he is still building a chemistry with this unit, and you can interchange and take some of those guys out as the game's going on, but he needs time to get in there, have reps, and not even just with those guys, but running plays in situations in live games.
Yeah.
So if I'm the Eagles, I'm not sitting him this week. And I think the fact that you're preparing him to go into tough matchups going forward, say what you want about Dallas, it's a divisional game. There's nothing really for anybody to lose, but they're going to want to put we're 6-0 in the division if we beat them. Yeah. They're going to want to be that one.
8-0 at home.
Like Paul Heyman. They want to be the one in 5 and
God.
1. He knows what
I
I'm
know.
talking about.
Undertaker.
I
even know it.
Yes, all right.
I even know what you're
Thank
talking
you.
about.
Somebody, you guys get my wrestling references. Awesome.
I know the big stuff. So.
But he wants to be the one. They want to be the one in 5 and 1, and we need to make sure that doesn't happen and we keep our streak alive there. Mm-hmm. So, I personally feel like he needs to play.
No, I think 100%, and the whole first unit offense I think needs to get some reps. How much will depend on how they look. So if they come out and they put together 2 touchdown drives in their first 2 drives, good, done.
Yeah,
I've seen it all. They got confidence. Let them lead the field with some points. That's fine. Defense, I want to see a lot of Steven Means this week. I want to see a lot of Joe Walker. I want to see a lot of Jalen Watkins. That's what on defense. Just load it up. Yeah. Load it up with backups. But offense, I think you need the offense to get some positive mojo back. You need Foles to get, like you said, chemistry. They need to, with everybody, with the receivers, with the backs. And it's funny, we keep that word chemistry keeps coming up. Who does he target more than anyone? Zach Ertz. And that's not just because Zach Ertz is really good. That's also because Zach Ertz is the one guy he's played with before and has had a lot of time with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't want to put – I'm with Paulie. I was about to say the same thing. I don't want to put, a certain time length on it. I had initially, earlier this morning, said, okay, they need to play at least a half. But I think that thinking about it, you have to see how they play. And then when you think they've had the reps where they look decent enough or they're able to establish a flow and they get more comfortable, then you pull them. It's if it takes 3 quarters, if it takes a whole game, if it takes 1 quarter, whatever it is, get them enough reps where they look comfortable enough.
If Nick Foles has to play 4 quarters, that's not a good sign to me.
It's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. But that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. I think there are only a handful of guys on offense that, maybe not even a handful, that you would sit. We talked about Blunt. I think Ajayi, maybe you play the first quarter, maybe a little bit more. But, with him being
Smallwood and Corey
should get, I think, majority of the backfield
and
touches
Barner.
next week. Barner
Why
too.
Not?
But I think there's only those few that need to sit. Everyone else needs to play.
So I was literally just getting ready to ask this, but Mark literally said the same thing. Sidney Jones this week?
Yes.
Sidney Jones this week?
They said
day to day.
Doug Peterson said in his press conference that he's not ruling out Sidney Jones getting playing time.
Yes.
Can I just say that would make me...
this is the only way. Even if he doesn't, he's not on the playoff roster, and he only gets just to get a feel of a live NFL game.
That'd be good.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I love because Sidney Jones is my guy. I loved him coming out when I did mock drafts. The first time I did one, the first one, I had the Eagles taking Sidney Jones in the first round. Then he tears his Achilles, and I had Derek Barnett the rest of the way, which Pretty prophetic there. I got lucky. No, but Sidney Jones, man, like watching him in Washington, he is a special. I thought he was the best corner coming out, and I thought he was.
Better than Lattimore?
I thought he was better than Lattimore coming out, and I thought
Lattimore looks good.
What was with Lattimore too? Lattimore couldn't stay healthy.
Okay.
Whereas it's ironic that Sidney Jones had tears his
Yeah.
Achilles.
Yeah.
I liked him more than Lattimore because I think that as much. He was so good at Washington, people didn't throw at his side. They just didn't throw. That side of the field was gone, like out of your playbook. He was that dominant at Washington. So that's why, like, for that kid, I really hope that he comes back and he's the player. If he comes back and he's the player he was, next year the Eagles have themselves a shutdown corner.
Yeah, when I did my 3-round mock draft right before the draft, my picks was first one was Corey Davis in the first round. Second round was Sidney Jones. Sidney Jones was I was like, with him being injured, you get him in the second round, that's a steal.
Yeah.
So and then third round obviously was Kareem Hunt.
Oh yeah.
And it's crazy too because if you look at the other corners taken, and I had Kareem Hunt too at one point. But if you look at the other corners in the second round, I don't think
We'll
there's
never get through a show without hearing about Kareem. Ever.
no
Ever.
or Andy Reid. What? No, we're not going to go there.
I didn't say it.
But if you look at the corners too, like because I know some of the people that would have that were kind of against the Sidney Jones pick, they said, oh, well, maybe they should have taken a corner who was healthy, yada yada yada. Have any of the corners that were drafted in the second round really done a whole lot? I mean, you had like Kevin King in Green Bay, who's been okay, Quincy Wilson from the Colts, and there were a couple other guys, but like no one's been that great on a good team that you would say, yeah, they totally should have taken.
What
him
round
over
did
Sidney
Tre'Davious
Jones.
White get selected?
He was first rounder.
First
Buffalo.
round. Okay, yeah. All right. So,
He was late first.
I got a comment here, and then there is a couple of questions that have been thrown out, so I want to get to them. And I want to get to this one because we talked about him. So Dion Brown says, on the topic of Jimmy GQ, we're coining that.
Jimmy GQ.
Jimmy GQ.
I got to be honest. I think that's like a thing.
Yeah, I've seen
Is it really?
I've seen
I think
it.
that's a thing already.
Oh,
but I still
Oh, well,
love
that's
it.
an awesome
Yeah,
nickname.
I still love it.
We can pretend. We can pretend.
Yeah, this is my world.
Yeah.
Not even yours. It's mine. And we're
We said it
taking
first. It
We're
just wasn't on
stealing
camera.
Yeah. But he says, on the topic of Jimmy G, I believe under the coaching of the hoodie and playing behind Brady, he'll be very good. Or one or two more weapons on offense, he'll be just fine.
Yeah. I do think there's something to be said for sitting behind arguably the greatest quarterback to ever live.
Right.
Definitely.
But what I kind of like about Jimmy G, and I mean, maybe that'll change, but he just seems a lot more like of a down-to-earth dude than Tom Brady. But
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. But that might
agree
change
with
with stardom. But yeah.
Yeah, and then we have a couple questions. Dion also says, guys, should the Eagles go a little more two-back set? I know we have no fullback to speak. I almost said Facebook. This is a social media world now. We almost have I know we have no fullback to speak of. Just a question. So do you guys think we should be doing two more?
The thing with putting a fullback there, you're changing up the run concepts of this offense a lot, because whereas.
But should we have more where we have two backs in the backfield?
Are you obviously talking about just putting a backfield for mismatch
He's saying
purposes?
I know we don't have a fullback, but should we be doing
Like going
more
a Jai
two-back
and Blunt,
sets?
or
Jai
a
and
Jai
Blunt.
or Clement.
Yeah,
I
or Barner or anybody.
was saying do packages like that. I don't think you can exclusively do that too much.
No.
Because then you're sacrificing a wide receiver, sacrificing a tight end, obviously.
No, but it's another look.
But it's
on
another look.
offense
I have been saying that
for
they
the
were
defense to think
they were
about.
exploring packages like that and. Sorry for bringing his name up, but in the preseason
Donnell
when
Pumphrey.
was there, they
Who?
were
The
Donnell
pony
Pumphrey.
set.
Yeah, the pony set. They
Who the
were.
hell is that?
So I don't know if I don't know with Sproles, and they did use that package with Sproles in there. So I don't know with Sproles going
See,
down.
but that's what it is. It's
going
with
down, they
Sproles is a
totally-
much better because he's such a matchup. He's basically another wide receiver out there. He's a slot receiver. So when you have him out there, when he's part of the two-back set, it's different. Like Corey Clement has come a long way as far as his pass receiving,
but
his
he's
pass
still
blocking,
not
yada yada.
Sproles.
But he's not Sproles.
None
he's
of these
not
guys
that
are
type of
Sproles.
player.
None of these guys, not even Barner is has a kind of route running acumen as Sproles does.
Yep.
So that's
like
why
I would
you
stay
do
away
a
from it.
two-back set like that. You have to exploit a mismatch somehow. But
Correct.
I don't think even with any of the guys we have, that could do it.
Linebackers can cover both of those guys.
Exactly.
Linebackers can't cover Darren Sproles.
Yes,
So
exactly.
it's different.
Yeah, and Mark Leibovitz. Thanks, Mark. He says, in football talk, FB is fullback. I know that, but I'm so used to social media.
Oh,
I know that. I just had to hesitate for a second. I'm not all with all that stuff. But no. So then we have Mark also says Barnett, a Rookie of the Year candidate. He's definitely been question marks. He's definitely been a great addition for us this year. And followed up with that, Mark DeAndre says, Barnett was a great pickup. Can't wait to see Jones play. Do you guys think he's at least in the conversation? I mean, you were talking about how there really isn't anybody that you say, oh, this person should have been picked above this person. I don't know.
For corners,
You can't. I mean,
But who do you? I don't think he's a Rookie of the Year candidate. I'm very
can't.
happy with what we've seen from him this year.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not to just bring his name up, but dude, he's top 5 in the NFL in rushing.
Right.
As a rookie.
well,
Right,
defensive,
but
defensive rookie of the year.
That's
even
true, that's
though,
totally
even
different.
so, like there are still a lot of defensive guys
I
that
can't
have
think off
had
the top of my
more
head.
consistent year all around.
Well,
Right.
Marshawn Lattimore made the
Marshawn
Pro Bowl.
Lattimore,
and
Pro
that's a
Bowl.
big one.
But I think to steer that conversation to a little more of a realistic view, has he done enough this season, especially as the season's gone on, for you to say like, okay,
Did I like the pick?
This is like I'm not disappointed
Absolutely.
that
Yeah.
anybody else because I didn't know how I felt about the pick at first. Obviously, we all wanted different Dalvin Cook, different guys, Kareem Hunt. Sidney Jones at that spot would have been fine for us, I think.
Well, before he tore his
Before
yeah.
it-
Right,
Yeah.
but I mean, you're looking at like, and I wasn't, but I'm very happy, and I think he's getting stronger and stronger as the season's going.
I think
Absolutely.
for me, for Barnett, even when
The future is very bright.
yes, I was
very bright.
I never had an issue with Barnett. Okay, I always thought he was going to project to be a really, really good defensive end for a long time, consistent. I question if he has superstar talent. I don't think he has that kind of potential, but really, really good, yes. The whole issue with me with the first round pick was I wanted Reuben Foster. I thought he was a superstar.
He was on my
linebacker.
radar too.
Yeah, that's
I like
that's
Reuben
kind of
Foster a
what
lot,
like
too.
I walked away when they made that pick, and I was like,
I
crap,
thought
Foster fell.
I thought Foster and
And-
Dalvin Cook were the guys to take.
and
there.
granted, he had health
I was
issues,
going
and
to
he
say
did
you want
get
to talk about both of them with
yeah,
health
like
issues.
he had
him and
health
Dalvin
issues.
Cook.
He missed the first 8 games of the season, but ever since coming back, he's been a monster.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can dilly dally between the two. I don't have an issue with the Barnett pick at all. In terms of Barnett himself, I really like Barnett. I think he's come a long way to expand his repertoire in terms of pass rushing moves, and he continues to improve, and it's evident by his continued progress as the season goes on. So I have no problem with Barnett at all. I like him.
I will disagree with you that I think Barnett's going to be a Pro Bowl caliber.
Yeah,
player.
I
hope
think
you're
he's-
right. I hope you're
think
right.
he's that good. I think he's going to because I think that he's got that bend that you cannot teach,
Mm-hmm.
and I think once he learns some more, and you're seeing he's getting a little more comfortable with the counter moves.
Mm-hmm.
Once he starts learning more of those, and he starts getting some of that, and he's 20 years old. Like he's going to get bigger. He's going to get stronger. Like he's going to be a monster.
The best, real quick before Ryan,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
The best thing that I do like about him, though, aside from his bend that you talk about, is his hustle. I think his motor is
absolutely.
absolutely
Brandon
unbelievable. He
Graham-esque.
doesn't quit, so I love that about him.
Well, going back to before the season, my biggest concern for Barnett is the NFL game going to be too fast for him? That was my criticism of the pick. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a guy. Initially, the game's going to be too quick for him. He hasn't shown any signs of that at all.
Yeah.
Played against tough competition, man. He played against played in the SEC. I mean, he played against some really good football players. So
Yeah.
I mean, he showed he could. But if you look at just looking at like the second round of like draft like corners after Sidney Jones, Quincy Wilson has done very little with the Colts. Tease Tabor can't even get on the field with the Lions. Chidobe Awuzie, I actually really like the guy the Cowboys picked, but he hasn't done anything like earth-shattering, and they're not even going to make the playoffs. So it's not like he made that big of an
Marlon
impact.
Humphrey.
Yeah, Marlon Humphrey. Oof. And looking at even if you look at guys after Barnett, I mean, really when you look at the only guys you can really question, you could say. Like you said, you could say Reuben Foster, or if you're looking for like a future pick, like a Malik Hooker is a guy I really liked.
Oh, I'd like.
But
Malik
again,
Hooker, too.
he also just couldn't. He can't stay healthy.
healthy.
Jonathan Allen can't stay healthy. So I
Yeah.
mean, you got. So as far as like a safe pick, quote unquote, I feel like Barnett was very safe.
Very safe.
What do you got on YouTube?
YouTube, yeah, we got a few of them. Todd Womack says, "Oh yeah, I didn't like how Foles almost had Ertz injured on the pass close to
Ooh,
the goal
yep.
line. He sailed
that was
that.
tough.
And then a comment that I want to go back to real quick that he said, and Ellerby played well last night, and I want to touch on that. But Renee Ballard
Finally.
comes back. Finally. Me either. Todd Womack. I was mad at that pass to Ertz. Hung him out to dry. He did. Like you can't.
he looked
You
like he
can't
took a
miss him too
shot
hard.
to the ribs,
Yeah.
man. That looked like he
Yeah,
got hurt.
exactly. But with
Speaking of days
Ellerby,
off, yeah,
with
for sure.
Ellerby coming in, like I said it last week, when I was talking about when I went on my rant. Okay, in response to Tom.
You went on a rant last week?
No, I blacked out, so I don't remember it.
We all blacked out. I think.
I was talking about how one of the issues is not having that third linebacker. That's why they've been playing Jenkins at linebacker at linebacker and close to the line of scrimmage so much. Well, last
Which,
night,
by the way, I actually thought he played much better on the line of scrimmage when he did.
he
play
did, but don't
this
tell it to
week.
Tom.
This week, I'll be honest, because I did look for it when I saw him up on
Yeah,
the line of
I
scrimmage, and I
just-
thought his
yeah.
coverage was actually
This
Exactly.
is it was a I'll tell you
much
what,
better than we've seen. I'm not saying it was perfect, but it looked much. And I had a very good angle from where I was at from the end zone and elevated.
Yeah.
He looked good. I thought he
it
looked
was
fine.
a bounce back week for him.
Yeah.
He had a tough game against the Giants.
Yeah.
It was a bounce back game. For him,
I
for
still
sure.
stick to my thing. He can't cover wide receivers. He can't. He's not a corner, but he'll do okay against running backs and tight ends. But my point is they put Ellerby in there and and let's talk about Ellerby real quick. And because I know you know his game really well too. Ellerby, veteran, savvy, knows where to be, knows where his assignments are, knows how to attack a gap. The issue with him is speed, closing speed now with him being older. Okay, so we know what he is and what he isn't. There's a reason why he was a free agent before we picked him up, and he's a serviceable backup. However, for this team being so thin at linebacker, him being there and playing adequately is huge because now because I was taking I don't know what the exact percentages are because I didn't study it, I didn't keep track. I was taking more mental notes, but they were starting to play Jenkins back more in a cover 2, back outside of a line of scrimmage more as opposed compared to last week, and that's because they're able to, like I said, in the base package they don't have to worry about bringing 8 in the box to stop the run. With Ellerby in there in the base package, they can now say, okay, Ellerby is there to key in on the run. We don't have to worry about getting gashed with a safety down there. Ellerby there, give him more reps, see what he can do, and he did well. So I think that's going for it. Now, they gave up a lot on the ground to Marshawn. Marshawn ran well against us. Okay, he did.
It's not just us. He's been stepping up a lot lately.
I will say what I will say is going forward, I think
it's very evident that
can't
he
be-
did not stay in shape when he was not playing football.
I think with the Ellerby signing guys, I think that's a big key going forward because now you can do a lot more again with packages. You can play more cover 2, and when you play cover 2 with it too high, now your corners don't have to worry about being beat on the sluggo. You know what I mean? They have help over the top, and they can play more aggressive like Mills loves to do, like Darby loves to do. They love to be aggressive. They love reacting to that first move. They love attacking the ball. So did you do that? And so now you're seeing the ripple effect go back the other way after the Hicks injury with Ellerby in there. So it's big.
I've been saying it, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. Darby reminds me so much of Asante Samuel and his playing style and playing the passing lanes.
Exactly.
I'm totally fine with that. We have physical corners. And he tackles pretty well.
He tackled so well.
He looked good. He looked
yes,
good last night with
he tackled
tackling.
so well. Shed blocks and he did
me,
really
he's
well.
He's young.
To me,
I
he
think
has
it was
the
a learning experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to me, he has the potential. I loved Asante Samuel, but the guy couldn't tackle for shit.
Nope.
Like I feel like he has that same skill set, but the ability to make those plays, stop guys from getting that extra yardage and bring him. I mean, if he gives up the pass, okay, take the man down.
Take the
That's
man
what
down, yes.
Asante
Couldn't
do.
do, yes.
So just to touch on Ellerby played 27 snaps last night. That's
Okay.
39% of the defensive snaps. So that's about right for him.
Yeah.
Like that's for a base package for a team who likes to run the football.
Yes.
That's pretty good. You did touch on one thing, and I definitely agree with you. So you talked about with Ellerby with foot speed. But here's the thing. He hasn't played all season. So you know what that means.
Okay. Good
He's
point.
fresh.
Yeah.
He hasn't been
That's a good
taking
point,
he
yeah.
hasn't taken a lot of hits. Even in that game, they held 27 snaps. So he's probably going to play another 20 or so next week as well, just to keep him in the flow.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a veteran, like you said, an experienced veteran player who knows where to be, who you saw it. He wasn't timid. He got in the hole. He was ready to hit
wasn't. He
Marshawn.
attacked. Oh yeah,
He was
that
ready
one
to
tackle
play.
for loss was beautiful
Oh,
because
dude,
he
he's
read
ready to hit.
He read that double team on Cox brilliantly, and he knew they weren't pushing him. They weren't pushing Cox, so he read that and was like, "Okay, you're not going to push him back in the backfield. I'm going to attack this A gap with no
Yep.
recourse," and it ended up with a negative
And
loss.
it's going to be huge because every team that's coming into the playoffs has a really good running game. So you need a guy like an Ellerby who, like you said, knows where to be, knows his responsibilities, isn't afraid to get in the middle and get physical, and they need that. So I think it's huge. I think it's huge.
Yes.
He's not a Pro Bowl player, but he's a good player to have for, like you said, for this circumstance, for this team right now with the way the roster looks.
No, and
he's a really good piece to have.
He was bought in to be a depth guy.
Absolutely.
Now he's starting to get more reps. And now you're able to see where he's going to fit into the puzzle. I thought he played very well. And I know I jokingly said it's about time, but we knew
it is about time.
We knew there was going to be.
He had a foot injury. I mean, that's the reason why he got cut. Like he had a foot. Like he had some stuff going on.
We knew it wasn't going to be an overnight process with a guy like him. That he was just going to jump in there and be like the world of difference. You know what I mean? So, Mark Leibovitz says, going into the offseason, regardless of how this playoff run concludes, what do you guys think should be Howie's biggest concern? I'm thinking re-signing Schwartz, and, of course, we draft offensive line for Wentz. I don't know what you have for your prospect of the week. Is it offense or is it defense?
It's weird that it's an offensive lineman.
All right.
It's almost like I planned it or something.
So we are going to discuss that. So, Mark, stick with us for the second half. We're going to get into – I think that'll be a better – I don't want you to think we're ignoring your question. That's going to be a good question, and it fits in with our second half. So we will definitely jump back into that. Do you have any more on YouTube there, buddy?
Just one more. Renee came.
Renee?
No, actually, no. That was the last question. A comment that I read already. So no, nothing new on YouTube.
Yeah. So we'll take our break now. We're gonna take our break. We'll be back about between 10 to 15.
We still gotta
minutes.
get into the offense in full.
Yeah,
so.
we're gonna do all that. We're gonna do that. We're gonna get back to the Twitter or to the poll question. I keep saying Twitter. to the poll question: is Nick Foles bad play against the Raiders more of a trend or an aberration? We'll do that. We'll get into all these other great topics. We're gonna talk Eagles, Cowboys. We're gonna talk Nick Foles in the offense. Gibson Mayer LLC sponsor the first segment here. Our certified public accountant, make him yours. GibsonMayer.com. From the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, BMW of AtlanticCity.com, and Scanzano Sports hitting the poll question. Guys, we'll check you on the other side.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM in the P
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
Welcome back, guys. Birds of a Feather, live on A2D Radio, live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, BMW of AtlanticCity.com. What's it, Ryan? Exit 17 off the Parkway?
Exit 17, that's correct.
Not 37.
There was confusion on a couple of the shows there, so well, what Tom said, we just figure it out, right? So, yeah. But, and our second half of the show brought to you by StreamSmart.com. And our Twitter question, or I keep saying Twitter question.
Well, it's on Twitter.
Yeah, it is on Twitter.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Put it up on Twitter. But our poll question of the week, brought to you by StreamSmart.com. Was Nick Foles' bad play against the Raiders, was that more of a trend or an aberration? So definitely continue to chime in on that. We got a lot more that we want to get into. We want to dig more into the offensive woes that we had. We talked a lot about the positives that we saw on defense. I do want to kick it off. Brian Eckert, while we were away, Brian chimed in. Eagles fans last week, quote, "Oh my, the defense is so bad. I'm not worried about our offense. Foles fits the system, but our defense will be the reason we don't win." Fellow Eagles fans this week, quote, "Our defense is the only reason we will do anything in the playoffs. I don't trust Foles one bit." End quote.
Where is that, on Facebook?
That's
so
on
true.
Facebook.
I'm
It is
screenshotting that.
so true.
I'm
It is a
screenshotting
week
that.
by week.
That might be on a post.
Play
it's
by
great.
play.
Love it.
That's a phenomenal comment.
Brian
City.
Eckert, you are the man. Brian's a good
It's
dude.
so accurate. That's exactly what I've been saying.
I was going to say, in our defense, we all sat here last week and said, Yo, stop panicking about the
Yes,
defense.
Ryan. Dude,
I wasn't freaking panicking.
Yes, you. Yeah. Okay,
I was very
Ryan.
calm. All right, a little panic. All right, a little panic.
Yeah, we got Ryan over here, the ones and twos, Chux, Paulie, Chrome. So let's dig back in. Let's get into the offense. Nick Foles, we kind of touched on a little bit, but so what did you see, guys? Was it more? For me, it was definitely Foles' play. I think that I think Paulie touched on it perfectly the first half. He is a streaky guy who, when he has confidence, he plays much better.
Yeah.
And he kind of just continues to build on that. There was just not really a groove going. I agree with you, too, with the way the weather was. It was not a good night to throw the football or catch the football. But even the offensive line had positives, but I felt like from at least where I was looking that he had a lot of pressure on him at points in the
Wisniewski
game,
was
too.
missed for sure.
Yeah, Wisniewski, I think we talked about it, Ryan, prior to going on the air.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Kelsey forgot how to snap the football.
What's going on? I know it's cold. I get it.
He was having some issues.
I'm going to say,
and those are dead plays.
I got
like
it.
Ryan put it perfectly.
Yeah.
It's essentially a dead play at that point.
yeah, it's so hard as a
Scramble.
quarterback to pick your head back up and start just getting your
Yeah.
progression. That's almost impossible.
Yeah, but so where did you guys view Foles? I mean, obviously from week to week. What are you expecting coming into this week? I'm sure he's going to play at least a little bit. So where do you guys stand on that?
I think with real quick, what I want to touch with the Kelsey snaps, he definitely had some bad snaps. I'm not saying that, but
Yes, he
also some of those snaps that were dropped, they were on Foles too.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were like I was watching because every morning after I love watching Baldy's breakdowns, and he was talking about Kelsey's snaps, how there were a couple where the snap was perfectly fine, but Foles just drops it, and then he drops it, eyes off the field, he misses timing with his receivers, and it all goes to hell. So I mean, Kelsey, he didn't have the best day snapping the ball, but I don't think he was a huge reason for the offensive woes. I think, again, he did an amazing job run blocking, as always. There was one play. This is where, because, again, the offensive line as a whole could have played better, especially the left side. We always talk about the left side of the line. That's the weakest part of the line. Lane Johnson didn't give up any sacks. So, I mean, I'm not putting this on Lane Johnson, but there was one play which I found really weird where it was a run play, and the Kelsey pulled, as he usually does, and it was a power play between the B gap between Vaitai and Warmack, and you see Brooks and Lane, and they're blocking as if they were pass blocking, which was very, very odd to see. You don't really see that, so I don't know if that was one sign of just the whole O-line being off the whole game. I mean, that is just one play. I don't know if that was again an aberration or a thing that was constantly the whole game where the timing and communication was just off, the play calling was just off, confusion and everything. But the left side of the line started to give out a lot again. Stunts, I'm telling you, the offensive line has to figure out how to defend these stunts, because that is one of the Achilles heel. We talk about the sluggo on defense. Well, on offensive, the offensive line is these stunts where the defensive end will press up, but then he will take a move to the inside, and that's what's been killing our offensive line.
Well, especially stunts against the left side of the line
exactly.
when it's Vaitai and Warmack in there.
Exactly.
That spells a lot of trouble.
Exactly. So with Foles, again, I mean, in the first half, Paulie pretty much touched on it, and I don't have too much to add on to that. I think Foles just needs to be better. You guys all know my assessment of Foles. When he holds on to the ball too long, and he starts to backpedal and everything, his mechanics go bad. So
Smeebree on Facebook says the weather had nothing to do with catching or throwing. Foles sucks, which is why he lost the starting position in the first place. We need someone to replace Foles. Brian Eckert says the weather would absolutely have a role in throwing the football. So let's respond to that. First of all, Foles lost his job because he got hurt, right?
wait, which
Yeah,
instance is he?
I mean,
are they
and he
talking
also
about?
got traded.
And then he got traded, and he
So he
was,
didn't ever
and then he
actually
had
lose
Jeff,
his job here.
Then he had Jeff Fisher as his head coach, by the way,
And he got
Who-
quote unquote replaced by the young guy.
Yeah.
which is not younger than him, actually, when we looked that up, right?
He's really not.
Yeah.
Well, it's also Jeff Fisher.
No,
Jeff
that was
Fisher,
a
Jeff
surprise.
Fisher. We're talking
But
about
it was,
Jeff
he,
Fisher.
you know,
Yeah.
he had the quarterback killer in Jeff Fisher as his head coach.
Who is this? I was I want to.
Sneebray.
Do they want to come down and like try to throw a ball right now and like win in frigid conditions? We'll keep a nice cold football in like a freezer for a few minutes. See how that feels throwing that.
No, dude, it feels
It's
like a
like
rock. Even
yeah.
catching a football, you try to catch
It
a ball in that
sucks.
kind of weather.
You never played snow
Yeah.
football? You know that
That's
sucks.
very, very tough.
Yeah, it's not
It
fun,
is very, very
man.
tough.
Jeez.
Yeah, and honestly, we've talked about it time and again. Who would you want to come in here and play right now?
On
I mean,
short notice.
I'm taking out all the even taking the distraction out of the Kaepernick stuff. You don't bring a quarterback in at this point
At
in
week
the
16,
season.
yeah.
Week
No.
well,
He
week,
knows
Well,
nothing
it's week
of our
15
system.
at that point. Whatever.
week
yeah.
15. You don't bring another
Yeah.
quarterback in who doesn't know the playbook and say, "Here, have at it." It takes
This isn't Madden, guys.
Tom
Yeah.
Tom talks about it all the time on AM and the PM and on Agree to Disagree. This offense is an offense that it can take a quarterback 5 years to learn, and Carson's getting ahead of the curve with this, and he's learning it very quickly, and he's being able to execute it. It's not everybody's going to be a guy like Carson Wentz.
You know what I've?
He's an above.
Sorry.
He's a better. Is he a backup? Probably. He could start on a lot of teams. Nick Foles, I'm talking about, could start on a lot of teams, but he's your best option out there. There's nobody. You don't want to bring in
Yeah,
RG3
there's no one.
at this point. Now, if you're talking next year, I don't like that they're not bringing a third quarterback in. Even if he sits there and learns the playbook as a just-in-case emergency, because didn't Foles get up and limp a little bit this week?
I don't know.
Yeah, one play he did.
And,
he got his
and I
ankle,
can tell
he
you,
got
there
his
were
ankle
we
rolled
were,
up a
you were
little bit.
people were a little
I
bit
panicked.
Yeah,
I'm not
Yeah.
afraid to admit it. I panicked.
I would much rather have somebody, even if Sudfeld's in the rest of this, so this guy can learn for the playoffs. I'd rather have a third quarterback on the roster. But at this point, you're not bringing in RG3. You're not bringing in Colin Kaepernick
No.
or anybody else
No.
to replace Carson Wentz. You're going to go with the guy that you have on the roster, a guy that can start on other teams, a guy who knows the full playbook. And again, another thing Tom says all the time, you don't have to cut the playbook in half with this guy. You can utilize your entire playbook with the personnel that you have there. It makes no sense whatsoever. And if you don't think, like you said, the weather has any effects on this kind of stuff, then
Then you've never played football in cold weather.
you've
then.
never touched
Yeah.
football then.
It's as
Yeah,
simple as
like
that.
that's the most
Yeah.
ridiculous thing I've
And
ever heard.
You know, one thing, like a little thing I've noticed, and it makes sense that this is happening, and it's just a little thing that I've noticed. Nick Foles has been running the play clock down. Like when he gets to the line of scrimmage, there's like 5 seconds left. So he doesn't have enough time to set the offense, see the defense, and make any changes. Whereas Carson Wentz he was in such a groove. He would get to the line with 15 seconds
Yeah.
on the play clock.
A lot of time.
He had plenty of time to see what was going on, make changes, and it's not Foles' fault. It's not saying that Foles doesn't know the playbook or whatever. It's just he hasn't played, and he just isn't in that groove that Wentz was in, and that's also makes things tougher when you don't have enough time to make changes at the line of scrimmage.
And I mean, it looked easy early in the season, but there were things even with with Wentz, the first few weeks, and the Kansas City game was a game that showed it. His chemistry with players like an Alshon Jeffrey, it took a while to build that throughout the
Yeah.
season. It took a while to get more accurate with the deep ball and learn what their wide receivers' tendencies were and what their running backs'
remember?
tendencies were.
It's funny because early on in the year, I remember that was the big thing, is everyone was talking about, oh man, I'm worried about Wentz. He can't throw the deep ball.
Yeah.
And then a few weeks later, he's an MVP. He's running away with the MVP award.
Yeah.
It's just funny the way things work.
It's
It's just the way it goes.
I understand. It's frustrating as a fan because Carson did so much for this team, but you have to go with what you have right now. You can't continually compare him to Carson because he's not going to be Carson. You have to say, okay, this is the situation we're in. We have to figure out how we can maximize this and make the best out of it. And I think they're doing it. And right now, the best way to do that is good, bad, or indifferent. Let him go out there, get his reps in, and learn from his experiences, good, bad, and different.
Yeah, I think anyone who's trying to say we're making excuses for Foles, it's not that. None of us here, I can speak for us here. We've never said Foles is going to be a great quarterback in the system and he's going to lead us anywhere. I've been the one to say that leading anywhere. No, he's not going to lead this team anywhere. In
Nobody's
the playoffs.
crowning this guy as a savior.
No, not at all.
There's no way Foles can lead the team. The team has to be led now by the defense and the running game. That's been my stance. I think what we're trying to say is Foles has shown enough in his career and has shown a report in this system where he can be adequate enough. Now the key is for everyone else on the team, especially the defense, to step up to a point where Foles doesn't have to do too much. And that's the thing. Like, getting home field advantage is huge because since our defense has played better at home, now you can expect the defense to play at a really high level. If the defense is playing at a high level and holding teams to like 14 points, 17 points, is Nick Foles adequate enough with these weapons and this offensive system to score 20 points? I believe he can. So, and the thing is with last night's performance, it was bad. Like, none of us are arguing that. Like,
Nobody's
it
gonna
was
sugarcoat
really,
that.
really
It
bad.
wasn't good.
It was really bad. Timing was really off. His mechanics were so slow. How many times have I said his mechanics break down way too often? Well, I was throwing stuff at my phone because I have to watch on my phone. I was throwing stuff at my phone. You can ask my fiance sitting over right there because I was at her family party. I was
She's
like, set your feet, like stop, like so. I do not want to make it seem like we are crowning Foles. It's just that
And we're not.
I think that if you take away if you look at last week's game and this week's game, you can kind of is it safe to say that you can expect realistically a happy medium between the two performances?
Yes.
You think you like in between that's what we can expect from
Yes.
Foles. Well, a happy medium between the two is adequate enough to expect around 20 points. To expect him to not turn the ball over too much and to just play it safe, and if the defense can get the offense into good position, good field position, he doesn't have to make too many long sustaining drives. He can capitalize in the red zone when he has to, which he didn't do last night, but I think we have to expect and want him to do that going forward. He has to capitalize. He can't keep missing Ertz high on those throws. He can't keep, throwing behind Jeffrey on that one. Like, he had Jeffrey. He did. He definitely did.
The placement of the ball is a really big concern.
Big concern.
Yeah.
So, and the one play that I was absolutely pissed off about was on 3rd and short when he decided to throw the deep ball to Aguilar. I'm sorry, I don't care what the matchup is. Circumstance, in that point in the game, with a tight game, I think it was 7-7 at that point, and you're like around midfield, and you need to get into a flow, I do not, I'm sorry, this is just me, I do not take a deep shot. If you are up and you're looking for a kill shot, it's a different type, it's a different time in the game, different circumstance, take that deep shot on 3rd and 5. You don't have much to lose, but tie game, when you need the offense to get going, why are you throwing the deep shot? Like, pick up the 3rd and short and just move the sticks and keep it going. So, decision-making all game was bad by Nick Foles. I think he has to play better, but we have seen him play better.
Well, I'll give you another play as well. I don't know if you guys mentioned it yet, but it was first half at the end of the half. Yeah, I knew.
I was actually just going to say that. Yeah.
To where if he walks another 2 yards, he has the first down. Instead, he just throws it away.
He did that a couple times
Not
last
only that,
night,
not only
actually.
that on that play, if you look, he has Corey Clement leaking out of the
Yes.
backfield wide open in the
Right
middle of
there.
the field.
Yes.
You could
He's the check down, yes.
There's nobody there. He's got a clear line
Yeah.
to Clement, and he threw it away.
Yes.
That was probably out of all the plays, that was the most frustrating one because it was so easy, and it was right there in his face. He's got to make it.
Well, not only that entire drive, the fact that you went into there looking like, we can snag 7 points.
Exactly.
At
Yep.
worst case, we're going to get 3.
They had 2 timeouts still left at that point as well, right?
If we would have lost that game, and I know we're talking about if we would have, luckily we won it.
Yeah.
That's the drive that people are talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's one, we're definitely going to get 7. Okay, at least we have 3. Oh, hell, we
None.
got 0.
Yeah.
And like my one friend was saying, looking at it, he might not have gotten the first down. Okay, say he gets another. I think it was 3rd and 4, if I'm correct.
Correct.
If he gets only 2 or 3 yards, and again, my math might be wrong, but who's to say that extra 2-3 yards doesn't turn that missed field goal that was off into
Who
a
knows?
make field goal?
Yeah.
Who knows? So it's not so much that it was a definite clear case of a first down. It's just the fact that his decision on that play, instead of at least trying for the first down, was to, or at least check it down to Clement, was to just immediately throw away.
And he's a veteran. I think he's going to go back. He's going to look at those things, and he's going to say, okay. And again, that's learning the tendencies of the guys that are around you, too. To know Clement's going to be around there for a check down. And I think if it's week 6 or it's week 7, then maybe we're having a different conversation. Is Foles going to carry us through the rest of the season? But at this point, no, you're not going to do that. And you know what's going to help him? We talked about it time and again on the offense. The running game. What will help him? By letting a guy like LeGarrette Blount sit next week, have 2 weeks, so he's fresh. You have him, Ajayi are fresh, and you have Clement, and you come in with a fresh running back who are ready to produce. So, I mean, you're not – Nick Foles is never going to be Carson Wentz. And Brian Eckert says, again, Foles is a game manager and a good one. Wentz is a game changer. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's a great comment
as well. That's exactly what it is. And Ralph Delavecchio, Ralph says, rather have Nick Foles play through the entire game on Sunday and get him more reps because once playoffs come, he has to be ready.
See, I'm going to, I'd only disagree with that in the sense that if he lights it up in the first half or the first few drives, sit him. Don't even mess around. Let him go feeling good. I get the point.
Well, I'd play him at least the whole first half. That's me.
Maybe, yeah.
To me, a minimum.
Depends
I'm
how
playing
I get
it.
it.
Depends how they're playing.
I get the line of thinking though. He needs the reps. I get it, but at the same time, I would rather him just get off the field with feeling good, with feeling a little confidence. That's just me. That's how I feel about it. Like in a preseason game. A lot of times, the first team, if they go right down the field and march down the field and get a couple good drives, you take them out.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, even if it's the dress rehearsal game, whatever.
Yeah.
You just let it, and it worked out pretty well for him this year when they did that. I'm just saying.
And for the handful of people, I don't think anyone said it in our chat, but going around saying, "Oh, there's no way you should play Foles. What if he gets hurt?" You can't play scared. You can't plan the rest of your season, especially this part with all
not
that's
in this circumstance.
You can't. You cannot play scared. It's 100%. That's the percentage of injuries in this league. It can happen anytime.
Doug Peterson said that in his press conference. Like he can't be worried about injuries at this point. He needs to get Foles the reps.
No, and at this point, everybody's got injuries, and there's going to be more injuries that are going to happen. Whether it's week 17, whether it's first round of the playoffs, second round of the playoffs, they're going to happen. I mean, you got 4 rounds of the playoffs getting ready to come up. It's just a part of the game. You can't play scared like that.
Yeah.
This is a random question. Would you guys call Peterson Coach of the Year at the moment?
Yes.
Okay, I agree.
Well, okay. I would. There are cases to be made for the other people, like McVay. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and there's someone who's very smart at NFL Network, Chris Wessling, who makes a very strong case for McVay. So, and you can't really argue against that because McVay has
McVay. Boom.
But that's what I would say. Yeah. So I think that I wouldn't say it's a runaway. I would go Peterson for reasons that I've stated before, and I know you guys agree. But I still think that there are.
I mean, to me, there's the two candidates.
You have to also consider McVay because
I don't think anybody
he's
else
done astronomical things with the Rams. So, but I do go with Peterson. Yeah,
I agree with you. The 3 candidates, I guess you can round it out to is Zimmer, obviously, and then McVay and Peterson. But to your point, Paul, well, Peterson beat McVay with a backup quarterback and without a left tackle.
Yep.
And Zimmer did not get the number 1 seed. We did. So I think it's as simple as that.
You can make arguments. But I go with Peterson. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's shift this conversation because now we're getting into the Cowboys week. Another Cowboys week.
Yeah.
Not as exciting, but still, there's conversations to be had.
I will say it's a little disappointing that it doesn't mean anything to play the Cowboys. It kind of sucks.
Guys, it's Cowboys.
We switched places with the Cowboys.
But
last
hey,
year.
I'd rather be in that position.
Yeah, exactly. But hey,
I'd rather have nothing to worry about.
I agree with that for sure.
I'm ecstatic that there's
No,
no.
yeah.
I'm ecstatic because
I
I
hear
can
you.
talk all the trash in the world.
Yeah,
and be
we
like,
could just
what?
sit back that day and be like, yeah.
So I agree. It's good that week 17, a game in week 17 means absolutely nothing. That's a great thing. But I wish that the second game against the Cowboys meant something. That's what I hear what you guys are saying. You're absolutely right, but it's just I don't know.
You like the atmosphere.
I like the rivalry.
Yeah.
I
You like
yeah.
the storyline. I
Yes,
understand.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have a storyline. What Dak Prescott are we going to get this week? Because let's have the
Zeke was back, right?
conversation.
Are we gonna get Cooper Rush instead?
All right, so Charles, it was an interesting point that you wanted to have a conversation about, and it's where would you rank Dak among these young franchise quarterbacks? And you provided us with a list here. Obviously, Carson, Deshaun Watson, Jimmy GQ, Jared Goff, Marcus Mariota, Derek Carr, Jameis Winston, Mitchell Trubisky, and Blake Bortles. So let's go down the list, gentlemen. Let's throw out who would you take Dak over and who would you take over Dak. So I'm going to go first. I'm keeping Carson. I'm keeping Deshaun Watson. I think just for me, I'm keeping Jimmy Garoppolo because I think Jimmy Garoppolo's ceiling is going to be huge.
Oh, that was great.
I don't know that I'd take him over Goff yet. I got to see it. I like Goff, but I still got to see another year of him. So, it's very touch and go with that. I'm not sure on that. I would definitely take him over Mariota. I'd probably take him over Derek Carr. I'd definitely take him over Jameis Winston. I think I would keep Mitchell Trubisky.
Interesting. Okay.
And I would definitely take him over Blake Bortles.
Sure.
I mean, that's like the throwaway. Like,
out of all of them, that was probably the easiest one.
All right.
That's why he's at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, that's why he's there at the bottom.
If you go through and don't take him over anybody, you'll at least give him Blake Bortles at the end.
Now, I'll say this. At the beginning of the year, I had Dak right behind Carson Wentz. So I had Wentz and Dak as young QBs and how I ranked them. As of last week, right?
I think I would take Trubisky on another team, though. I don't know if I
we talked about Trubisky a little bit.
I'm looking at it more
he
like
needs more in offensive,
Yeah.
If he was in a different, I'm not necessarily looking at the team.
I'm going to go there. I'm
looking at it as just
like overall
as a quarterback. Who would I take?
See, but that's tough too because like for me, so I'll let Chux go, but I'll tell you what I think about that.
But that's why I took him. I just wanted you to understand my.
So now
I don't disagree necessarily, but
Then now the quarterbacks I would take over Dak, Wentz of course. I would definitely take Deshaun Watson. I would definitely take Jimmy GQ. Here's the interesting part. Before this past weekend, I would still have taken Dak over Jared Goff because I believe Dak with a good running game just like Jared Goff has. I believe Dak could be still like a really, really, really good quarterback. But this week and seeing how just overall how Jared Goff has played and impressed me, I think I'm changing my tone, and I think I would take Jared Goff over Dak Prescott.
Well, that's why it's touch and go with me. I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah.
I just am not 100% on Goff yet.
Yeah.
And I should be there, but I'm not quite there. He's just one of those
Which
guys.
Is totally
I felt like
yeah.
I said coming in, like, he's a guy that I feel like I would have to see two really good seasons back to back for me to kind of anoint him in that class. Like Carson, even last year, even with a struggling team and not even close to the weapons, Carson rose above.
Yeah.
So that's why I like it's not a question.
Yeah.
Goff, I'm like
here's where I'm going to probably be really controversial. I think Mariota and Dak right now are a push. And I'm someone who was high on Mariota.
That's a fair assessment.
I think because with Mariota and he has had a bad year. He's not good right now in that Titans team. But if we're talking about overall, just in a vacuum, the skill set of these quarterbacks, not even disrespected to their teams, Mariota's being handcuffed by that offensive system. That's a run-first offensive system.
Completely agree with that, yeah.
He doesn't have the right coaches there to use his strengths properly. So I still believe in Mariota. So I think that's the push right there. And then I would take Dak over Carr. I would take Dak over Winston and Bortles, of course. Trubisky, that's interesting. That's where I'm like, okay, I really do want to believe in Trubisky because the certain things I've seen from Trubisky have been really, really good. And I've seen really, really impressive stuff, but not enough. So I think right now I would take Dak over Trubisky, but I am really close to, like, it would take only a little bit more from Trubisky to make me pick him over Dak.
It's fair.
Yeah. So that's where I go.
And you take Blake Bortles obviously over Dak.
Clearly. Clearly. All right. So the easy three, definitely Carson over him, definitely Deshaun Watson over him, definitely Jimmy Dreamboat over top of him.
Over top of him. Jesus, sir.
Hey.
What are you turning the show into?
Hey, man. If you're not ready to get weird on this show, then I don't know what to tell
This
you.
isn't a PG-13 show, right?
Hashtag birds of weird.
Oh, man. Yeah, you got to get weird. So with Goff, I'm definitely taking Goff over him.
Okay.
So here's my comparison. I'm comparing Goff this year to Dak last year, right?
Okay.
And if you also have to keep in perspective this, Jared Goff is actually a full year younger than Dak Prescott
Okay.
because he
Fair.
came out as a junior. But if you compare their numbers, a lot of them very favorable. Goff threw for over 200 more yards, and obviously this is a full season from Dak. Goff, I just read Sean McVay's not playing the Rams starters this week, so this will be like complete. But Goff threw for more touchdowns. Dak threw for less interceptions. Pretty comparable, but I just think going forward, I like Goff more. I think Goff it's hard for me to look at. I understand what you're saying. Like, you want to look at it in a vacuum and say, hey, if this guy, just looking at him as a football player, if all things were equal, all things coaching, offense coordinator, personnel around them, but it's so hard to look at it like
It's
that.
tough.
Yeah.
But Jared Goff with Sean McVay, even if I put Dak in that offense, I like Goff more in that offense than I like
That's fair.
Dak Prescott in that offense. So I just think, as far as, like, if we're saying who's going to have the better future, who's the better quarterback, well, are we saying right now? I guess we're saying, right?
Right now, yeah, you can say right now.
If we're going to say right now, like, if I have to have, like, which guy I want to win me a game, I take Jared Goff right now, personally. That's the guy I take.
Yeah.
So if we're going, again, by that criteria, I take Dak over Mariota.
Okay.
Because I think Mariota has regressed. I do agree with you that a lot of it has to do with the system. I think Malarkey's got to go. I think they need a better offense to fit his skill set. Right now, I take Dak over Derek Carr right now. Jameis Winston, he looks like a dumpster fire right now.
Yeah.
Which is sad because other than the extracurricular stuff, I really like Jameis Winston coming out of Florida State.
I was really
I
high
thought
on
he
him
was-
coming into
yeah.
this year. I thought he was going to make huge strides.
Yeah,
this
a lot
year.
of people did. A lot of people thought Tampa Bay as a team was going to be very
Yeah,
good.
I did too.
As of right now, I take Dak over Trubisky, but this is something we talked about during the break. Man, I want the Titans and I want the Bears to just go full Rams and fire their coaches and
Yes.
find a quarterback whisperer. And
Yep.
if I were them, I'd be calling Jeffrey Lurie and saying, hey, I want to interview John DiFilippo for my head coaching job because I want to resurrect one of those quarterbacks. And I want to make – well, not – in Trubisky's case, not resurrect. I want to get everything I can. And then I'm investing fully in wide receivers for that kid. And then I think over time, I think Trubisky could be better than Dak. But right now, I have to take Dak. And then Blake Bortles, I get why he's on this list, but no. It's basically
I went
where I'm
off
at
Gil.
that.
I went because Gil Brandt did an article, best young quarterbacks to build off of, and I pretty much just went off of this list. That's where the
Up until this past week, Blake Bortles had 3 really good games in a
Yeah,
row.
he did.
So,
He
I
did.
mean, to
did.
somewhat defend
But
that.
he's still
Who do you got, Ryan?
So what I will do, I will rank 1 through 10 the quarterbacks.
Okay.
Oh,
go
yeah,
ahead,
do
go
it.
ahead, yeah.
So I have Wentz, Watson, Garoppolo.
Yeah,
I have Jared Goff. I think we've all agreed that that's the top 4, correct?
yeah, hard to argue that.
Now, I have Dak Prescott 5th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because, and it's close with Marcus Mariota. That's why, Charles, I don't think what you said with how they're a push, I don't think that's controversial at all. The thing that I lean on with Marcus Mariota that he's really fallen off with, last year, the red zone efficiency he had. That sticks
Great
with me
point.
because
Okay,
he's
yeah,
done it
good
one
point.
year. That means he has a trait. That means he can do it again when he has more around him. So I think that's going to be something huge. That's the reason why he's up this high. If he didn't have that, he'd be close to the bottom for me.
Fair.
So then I have Mitchell Trubisky. I know he hasn't played a lot at all. I know that he has nothing around him at all. To me, I think the situation with the Bears, and tell me if I'm wrong, tell me if I'm outlandish by saying this, you can compare that to what Wentz had around him.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's not a terrible comparison.
Yep.
Trubisky with one receiver, above average receiver,
Who?
and a good running game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No,
It's-
absolutely.
It's kind of like that.
And they have a decent offensive line as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
Just get him someone that can be consistent and just catch the freaking ball because
they
they've
have
been
the
struggling
skills.
with drops all year.
Yeah.
And they're just bad. They just can't get open. They're just
Yeah.
not very good. I mean,
Yep.
it's
Then, and people are probably going to say, oh, how he's so low. Derek Carr, and the one thing no one mentioned yet, the injuries. He has a
And
back.
that's-
Yeah.
that's-
And
that's
what was
something
his
I
injury
contribute to
last
that.
year? He broke his
his leg.
leg.
Yep.
That's back-to-back injuries, back-to-back seasons. That's something. And if the back, I mean, we've seen Tony Romo. People were saying when he got hurt, oh, is he the next Tony Romo? The fact that that's even being mentioned,
Scary.
Derek Carr should be scared to death being compared to Tony Romo with the injuries.
Yeah.
Then I have Jameis Winston. He's been such a disappointment. And the only reason why he's above Blake Bortles is because I know Blake Bortles is Blake Bortles. That's as simple as that. I thought Jameis Winston was more, so the only reason why Blake Bortles is below him is because he's Blake Bortles.
Another name that was mentioned in the article, by the way, if I don't know if you want to throw that in to see where you guys rank him, was Jacoby Brissett was mentioned.
I actually really like Jacoby Brissett a lot. I probably, man, that's tough.
It is tough.
I'd probably put him after the top 5, after somewhere between Trubisky and Carr in that neighborhood, above Jameis and above Blake Bortles, but maybe not quite above Carr and Trubisky.
I think it
right
would
now.
be around the same for me. With Brissett, what? Because I mean, he has shown his flaws. He's not a running QB. As I don't think he's a running QB. I don't think he has that type of foot speed to be a run first quarterback.
No, not a run first.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to. Yeah. But I think it can't go understated how he was traded for. I forget what week it was, and immediately he picked up that offense. Like that's not something that should go understated. Like that's impressive. That is very impressive. Like the Colts are a bad team. We get that.
Very bad team.
But he held them afloat for some of these games. Like he was being very competitive, and I think he does have a ceiling where he could be like a pretty adequate type of starting quarterback in the league.
Well, I mean, to your point, Charles. Well, first, I think it was week 3 where they picked him up because they had Scott Tolzien for the first 2 weeks. And then
they picked him up before the season, but then he didn't play. They started because he didn't know the offense yet.
That's correct. Yeah. That's correct. And then 2, his hottest part of the season, arguably, was his first couple games. So to your point, the fact that he got it so quickly and he showed what he did. I mean,
in Seattle.
Yes.
That was his most impressive game.
Yes.
He's got that, like, I don't really know. I mean, it's kind of cliche to call it this, but he's kind of just got that it factor where he looks like a leader and he looks like the kind of guy who really knows how to rally players, and he just has that aura about him that he just seems like he's got that it factor.
Calm, very calm.
Calm, yeah.
Does that now? Do you think because he came from New England? Do you think that's something he picked up in New England?
I think it
similar
helps.
to Jimmy G.
It helps.
Yeah.
I think it can go back to college because I remember hearing, in the Patriots organization, people were saying they really like this kid. So the Patriots freaking messed up, man.
Yeah,
messed up.
You know what it is? Because that was one of the years where I was really into the draft, and this was before the Eagles had traded up. Jacoby Brissett was a guy I was looking at for them before they traded up to get the number 2 pick and get Wentz, and a lot of people projected Brissett around the 5th round. And I was like, man, I think it's pretty low for this kid because he's huge. He's got a big arm.
Yeah.
His only issue in college is that he just held the ball for way too damn long, and he had a little bit of that Superman syndrome where he thought he could make a play on everything. But I think New England, they probably beat that out of him a little bit, and you know what I mean, and kind of got some better, just better coaching and got some better traits put in him. And like I definitely think his time spent in New England had made him a better quarterback, and I think like you said, Charles, I think he could be a decent starting quarterback in the NFL. Not a star, but a decent one.
Yeah,
and that just shows, as far as going into the offseason, the value that the Colts have at quarterback.
Depending on if Andrew Luck's healthy.
Yeah, well, they have options. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they better. I mean, he's insurance right now. That's what Brissett is.
Or he's a trade piece.
Yeah, well, he's a trade piece if Luck is healthy.
Yes,
but
yes.
Well, how old is Andrew Luck? Do you know off the top of your head? Is he
late
20s? Is he late 20s?
28, 29, maybe.
What is your, because we're on the top of quarterbacks, what is your concern level going forward, if any, of Andrew Luck's future now that he's had to miss an entire season? He's had issues with injuries. Like, do you have a concern about Andrew? Because he was going into the draft, he was heralded as the next generational quarterback.
Yeah.
We saw him pick that up right away. Like his first couple of years, he took the Colts farther.
He was that team.
Yeah, he was that team.
They had nothing.
Now
he was the entire team.
Yeah, now with his injury history, what is? I'll put it maybe scale 1 to 10. What is your worry level about his future and his ability to get back at that level?
9. because it's his throwing shoulder.
Yeah, that's
And he got. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They did a terrible job. They never upgraded their offensive line. He got his ass kicked.
Yes.
He got his ass kicked for years. And because he had no help, he thought he had to take the entire team on his shoulders. I still remember that Denver game. What happened? He like lacerated his spleen or something in that game.
Yep.
Like it's like that's insane. Like that's how much this guy was giving, and that's how much he was putting his body on the line every week. And I just worry that he has gotten really old really fast.
Yeah.
And that's just to me, until he comes back on the field and shows that he's the guy he was, it's at a 9 for me. I'm very worried about
And when
it.
you're talking about major injuries like that, it's tough to get back, and your body never heals. And the older you get, I mean, not that he's old, but in football terms, the older you get and those kind of major injuries, the more difficult it is.
Yeah.
You never get back to 100%.
Exactly. And that's a shame because we were talking not too long ago about him being one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. Like, it wasn't that far along. He's 28 years old.
28 years old,
Yeah.
so he'll be 29 by the time next season starts.
Yeah.
So he's not getting any younger.
And it's such a shame because we easily forget because he didn't play this season. Fans forget to mention him in that group of top quarterbacks, but he was. And so I'll go. I won't go as high as Paulie, but I share his sentiments. I think it's like for me around like a 7.5. Like and I really hope we're wrong because
Me too.
he was
Better for
such
the
an
league.
exciting player to
Great
watch.
to watch.
Great to watch.
For all intents and
athletic,
purposes,
yeah.
he was the guy showing Peyton the door out of
Exactly.
Indianapolis.
Yep.
Exactly. Ryan,
So-
what are your thoughts? Because you're another quarterback fan.
I mean, when you let's just say, for example, because I agree with everything you guys have said so far. Let's say that he does come back to full strength, as little of a possibility as that is, because obviously he's not going to come back the same, especially given everything we just said. Let's say he comes back. It's still not sustainable unless they fix that offensive line.
Yeah.
Unless they get a guy not named
Overall.
Frank Gore who's going to be like, what, 50?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Why hasn't he died yet? And when I say died, I don't mean like die. I meant
Football died.
like football died. Like why? It's
Just
for the
go
past
away.
3 years as a running back lover right here. Like I do not understand. He's breaking conventional wisdom of running backs. Like what? Like how is it
Hey,
possible?
do you guys remember when he was an Eagle for like a day?
Yeah,
it was
we're
a
a
good-
day.
it was a fun day.
The greatest Eagle running back in the past like few years. How is Frank Gore? Sorry, Ryan, cut you off. But I'm just
no,
saying,
you're
I need
fine,
to throw
you're
this in.
fine.
I don't understand. It boggles my mind the miracle of Frank Gore. I give him all the respect in the world, but how is he doing this?
Listen,
I
dude,
don't understand.
We're in a world where like Bartolo Colon is like almost 50 and he's still trying to
Big
pitch.
sexy. I love that guy.
But wait,
I like
get
more
back to
than
what you were
Mac.
saying.
So it's almost like a multitude of hurdles he has to go over. So number one, he has to return healthy, or at least close to healthy. Number two, he needs to find an offensive line, which is probably going to need a new head coach, a new GM, and maybe not a new GM because they just got one, but you
Yeah.
never know because
Yeah.
if they completely clean house, you never know.
Yeah.
So you're going to need that to happen. Then you're going to have to find a running back to take pressure off of you once you have the offensive line.
I think they like and I like Marlon Mack,
love
the kid
Marlon
who
Mack,
drafted
yeah.
this year.
Yes.
I
I
think
love
he can
Marlon
play
Mack.
a little bit. But yeah, the offensive line, you nailed it there.
So say everything around him is just fine. Say he doesn't have to run for his life all of the time. Well, the number one criticism I had of his when he was actually playing was the main criticism I had of Wentz last year and sometimes this year. He forces the issue so many times, and I get it. Like you said, he is the team. He was the team. If without him, they don't have a chance in hell at winning games. But at some points, especially late in games, he cost them the game because he tried to be a hero. He needs to find a happy medium, especially when it comes to trying to sustain a long career, trying to sustain actually being in games, because he needs to learn, okay, I need to throw the ball away. An interception's going to hurt me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a 50-50 ball is not always the best option. So for me, my worry level was like an 8.5. I'm
Yeah.
not going to go to a 9 because, listen, I hope I'm dead wrong because I feel bad
Yeah,
for the
I mean,
kid.
me too.
I feel bad
Yeah.
for him. He's not even a kid anymore. I feel like I've been calling him a kid. He's 29.
Still a kid.
28,
Yeah.
29. So I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
No, it's they like this right like we talked about during the break too. This is a copycat league, and that Rams formula worked. Not only did they hire Sean McVay, they went out and they signed 2 really good veteran offensive linemen. And the Colts,
Yes.
if they're going to bring back Andrew Luck and he's going to be healthy and he's going to play, they better sign at least 2 veterans, at least 2 veterans on that offensive line.
And then you take a step back. By the way, I'm loving this. I'm geeking out over here. I'm geeking
Totally
out.
understand.
Ryan's
Totally understand.
Charles loves his running backs. Ryan loves his
Should we just have
quarterbacks.
do you want to start a quarterback show? We'll just do a quarterback.
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. You'll never be able to get me off the air. I'll never leave. I'll never leave.
The Brodo quarterback hour.
That's actually that could stick. That could stick. Let's look at that division. All right. So you have Marcus Mariota. Say he rebounds. Say he's just above average.
Okay.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson coming back. And then I understand Blake Bortles is still there. Okay.
Eli Manning.
Eli Manning. And then that defense.
Yeah.
The defense. So for me, even if Andrew Luck is healthy, they're at the back of the line in that division.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I
Yeah,
agree.
that team has a lot of work to do. They have T.Y. Hilton, who is continuously being thrown up in trade talks whenever trade deadline is.
Yeah.
Is
He's got a
thrown
big
out there.
contract.
He got a big contract. He does. I don't know what the future of what's the other wide receiver they have? Moncrief. I don't know what his status is going to be after this year because I think his contract ends also.
Might be. I like Moncrief.
Yeah, I do
He's
like
solid.
Moncrief, but I mean,
Great for me for fantasy.
yeah.
Not this year.
No,
Not this
last
year.
year.
But I mean, that team, 100% agree with Ryan. Like that team has a lot of work to do. I do like some of the defensive pieces they put together.
Malik
starting
Hooker.
with Malik Hooker.
Big fan of Malik Hooker.
Great piece to start with. But you gotta hope that they get the offensive line together because you put so much stock into that move. And I was one of the rare few who thought them getting rid of Peyton was kind of the bad move. But that's neither here or there. You made the move for a controversial move to release Peyton and then go and draft Andrew Luck. You put all that effort and you back this kid up. You cannot, with his career on the line, you cannot go forward and risk it anymore. You have to sign offensive line. And I think that, I know we were talking about, I'm shifting over to running backs. We talked about how you love Marlon Mack. I do too. I thought that this was the season with Marlon Mack coming in there. This was the season that Gore was going to fade out. That hasn't happened, but eventually I think next year or the year after that, that's going to happen where Mack is going to be that next feature running back for that team. What he provides is similar to what Ahmad Bradshaw provided for that team when he was in there with Andrew Luck. He's a game breaker with that breakaway speed, big playability. He has some stuff to fix in terms of vision and bouncing things outside. He has fumbling issues, but I think if he develops, that'll be another piece that'll help Luck stay healthy.
Yeah. So, just to tie it all back to the Eagles, this is what, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, because I got an Eagles question here too. So
nice wrap around here. You talked about they invested all of this in Luck. This is the plan.
Yeah.
Not get rid of. You know what I mean. Release Peyton Manning. This is the plan. We have this chance to get this generational quarterback. Let's make this move, and then they don't give him the necessary pieces to make it all work. Mm-hmm. Give so much credit to Howie Roseman. He gave up so much to get Carson Wentz.
Yes, he did.
He said, this is the guy I want. I'm going to go get him. He realized last year, hey, I don't have the weapons to help this kid out. So he went out and he did what he had to do, and they built a team around Wentz, and they did everything to make him. They didn't let John DeFilippo leave. They did all this stuff to make sure that Wentz had everything he needed to succeed. And you have to give so much credit to Howie Rosen for that.
And that ties in. So Bob Hartman joined us late. Bob, what's up,
Bob,
buddy?
What's up, Bob?
All right. So Bob's question was,
Bob's awesome.
Let's say you can protect one from leaving: Schwartz, Flip, or Joe Douglas. Which one are you picking to stay?
Douglas.
Douglas.
It's real quick. I know it's Paul. I totally understand Paulie having to think about it.
I like
But for me,
DeFilippo,
I love DeFilippo.
but I feel like he deserves a head
But-
coaching job.
That's
so
what it is.
I would probably.
You're not.
I don't think it's fair to him to keep him if
Yeah.
he has an
Completely-
opportunity. So
completely unrealistic to
I
keep
would
him here.
say that Joe Douglas is probably my option as well.
Joe Douglas.
Schwartz,
Schwartz is
I want
gonna
him.
get a
I
job,
want
too.
him to stay. I don't know if he will or not. I don't know if he's going to succeed as a head coach elsewhere either. We'll see. I think he's a guy that's destined to be a coordinator,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
a great coordinator. But
So, you know what?
I'm keeping Douglas.
Because I will agree with you guys and say Douglas now that I just thought about it for a minute. Because then I think about this too. DeFilippo, like you said, someone's going to probably offer him at the minimum an offensive coordinator position,
Which he deserves.
Yes, absolutely. If not a head coaching position, Schwartz is someone's going to offer him a head coaching position. And then I think another guy. I think we may have touched on this, but a guy who would be kind of interesting would be maybe bringing back Spagnuolo to be the defensive coordinator. That would be kind of interesting.
Be interesting.
I'm not opposed to that.
I'm not opposed to it. He is a lot more blitz happy than Schwartz, so I don't know if he would necessarily fit the personnel.
Well, he's from the Jimmy Johnson tree.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so it would be interesting mix. I don't know if it would be the right mix, but it would just be interesting. But with Joe Douglas, what I think you might be able to pull off is technically, I think if you look at Howie Roseman's title, he is not the GM. He is the vice president of football operations.
Yes.
So what you could do is say, "Hey, Joe Douglas, you're the GM. Give him a shit ton more money."
And then,
but the only thing is does Joe Douglas care about that, or does he care about having the last say in personnel decisions? Because if that's what he cares about more, then he might go to the Bears. You know what I mean? He might go somewhere. Or actually, I don't know. I think Ryan Pace is probably okay for now with the Bears. With him getting Trubisky, I think they see some promise there.
Yeah.
So I think he probably gets at least one more offseason to maybe get it right. But yeah, there's definitely going to be a team that's going to fire their GM that's going to see Joe Douglas as an attractive option. Yeah. But I agree. Out of those three, that's the guy I'm trying to keep.
So we're winding down. We got 5 minutes left. So we're gonna we got to get to his prospect. I want you to get to YouTube.
Yeah.
Hit YouTube. We're going to get to Paul. He's going to have his prospect of the week.
Awesome. We got Edgar Venzer. What's up, Edgar? Watch next week. Special teams wins us the game. That would be really fun against the Cowboys, yeah. And then Sixers JT chimes in on a bunch of stuff. He says, "What's up, guys? Ryan Brotto, the GOAT."
What's up, Sixers JT?
And then
Ryan Brotto is the GOAT.
Yeah. He mentions two comments that I just real quick want to just respond to. It was bad to move Peyton. He's overrated to me. The 2 rings he won were courtesy of his defense. I don't agree.
Not the first one.
I don't agree.
I thought the first one.
No, the first
one. I think
the first one he earned with the Colts. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first and
that. I mean, no doubt.
We can
the
go
second
into
one with the Broncos.
I can go into a whole. And again, I won't. But I can get into several minutes of discussion of how Peyton changed the quarterback position and what he meant to his team when he was on there. He was essentially a coach player. So
in fairness,
the Colts were a tire fire at that point, other than him.
Yeah.
So I get why they made the move for that. I think that was one of those moves that worked out best. It worked out best for Peyton, and it worked out best for the Colts.
because Peyton went on one of the.
And honestly, in fairness,
and it worked out best for the Colts too. I think.
In fairness, up until that last year, Peyton was still putting up numbers offensively for the Broncos.
He was.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you know what? He earned. If he has an off year and manages to get a title because they have an amazing defense,
no problem.
He's a guy that
exactly.
He's a guy that earned. He still earned it. He built a winning. He was part of a huge winning culture that was built there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get what he's saying, but even that. I can overlook that he wasn't great that year. We all knew that was kind of the winding down.
But how many times was he excellent?
Yeah, exactly.
And his defense,
But I always felt like he could make the play if they needed the play because he's Peyton Manning.
He's still Peyton Manning. Right.
And the 1 year where the Ravens came back and won in overtime against, I think it was the Broncos, on that Hail Mary pass, was that Peyton's fault? Peyton gave him the lead.
Yeah.
And then on a bad play by the safety, I forget the safety's name, by the of the Broncos, he just blew that coverage.
Yeah.
Poorly played deep ball. So I don't even put that on Peyton. So but that's another conversation. I would never view Peyton Manning as overrated. Imagine, and then another comment. Oh, thanks, Sixers JT. Thanks, by the way, for the comments. It is a good discussion. He says, imagine if Schwartz gets hired and we hire Lovie Smith as our defensive coordinator.
Interesting. Yeah. Lovey's not bad. Although I don't know, Lovey's kind of got a good thing going on, doesn't he? I don't really know much about the program there, but
I wouldn't be opposed to
They all usually when they have a taste of the NFL, most of them want to come back though, and that could be his way of getting back into the NFL.
Yeah,
so I if it's something that interests them, it's worth exploring for sure.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that.
I don't disagree.
Yeah. So, Paulie, get your thing in. I got one thing to chime in at the end before we jump off. So go ahead.
All right. So my prospect of the week is going to be Martinez Rankin. He is a offensive tackle from Mississippi State.
I've heard him being mentioned.
Yeah. So what I kind of like about Rankin is that if you watch him his junior year, I didn't love him. He's a senior now. He's 6'5", 315. I did not love him as a junior there. I thought he was a little tentative. I didn't think he was very aggressive, and I kind of was like, there was a lot of hype. There was some hype for him. I shouldn't say a lot. There was some hype for him coming into the season. I didn't see it at all. I watch him this year, and it looks like it's not even the same player. He's much more aggressive. I don't know if it's the idea that maybe he's not thinking out there and he's just playing, so now he's being more aggressive and being more assertive. The guy I talked about a couple weeks ago was Orlando Brown.
Yes.
What I'd say with Orlando Brown, I think he is destined to become a right tackle just because of his size. With Rankin, I think he can be a left tackle. I think if let's say the Eagles decide to make that move and he is their guy late in the first round, I think you could theoretically leave him at left tackle and leave Lane Johnson at right tackle and see where that goes. So, yeah, that's one guy. And then also, if you guys are actually watching a game right now, UCLA and Kansas State are playing right now. That's in the second quarter. Colton Miller, they have a left tackle as well, UCLA. Another reason why Josh Rosen might not want to come back because he's going to lose his best offensive lineman. Colton Miller might be a first-round pick as well, so that's another guy. He's more massive. He's like 6'8". He's huge. So he's another guy to kind of keep your eye on.
So there you
Awesome.
go. Last thing I'm going to chime in here because we're getting ready to go off the air. I've been watching all week. Well, not all week. The last couple of days of all these Cowboy fans that all of a sudden all the cockroaches start coming out. And listen, I'm a realistic fan. When the Cowboys are good, I give credit where it's due.
Definitely, yeah.
But now it's to the point now where we win a game, we clinched number one NFC team, and now they're trolling that, well, it's your whole season's a fluke, this and that. Well, let me tell you something, okay? I heard comments of, the Eagles are on the steepest slope. Look at your fucking quarterback situation, okay? You want to talk about steep slopes in the NFL? Take a look at yourselves in the mirror. Take a look at your quarterback. You want to talk about shitty, sloppy games? Your game this week might have been even worse than the game last night. Mm-hmm. So at this point, talking about your titles 20 years ago is like being a 40-year-old balding guy with your belly hanging over your shirt or your pants with a piece of pastrami hanging out of your mouth, talking about how you banged the head cheerleader back in high school. All right? There's no relevance to it now. You sound completely ridiculous. It's time to shut up and get over it, okay? If it hasn't happened in the last 20 years, it's irrelevant. You give credit and you cherish the tradition of winning that you have had, but you have had nothing but disappointment. Let's talk about Quincy Carter, and let's talk about
Ryan Leaf. He was there.
Let's talk about Drew Stanton. Let's talk about Drew Bledsoe, and let's talk about the Tony Romo years, where I think they went 1-7 in the playoff games.
Well,
all right, you have nothing to talk about. Okay. I could talk about I'm a Cardinals baseball fan. I could talk about my team, but my team hasn't won in 5 years or 6 years, and I still feel like that's irrelevant to any conversation that has anything to do now. And they got way more titles than the Cowboys have, all right? So shut your mouths. You are now at this point, we're now the class in the division this year. If anybody's been the class of the division over the last 15 to 20 years, it's been the Giants. They got 2 titles. So the conversation's done. Worry about yourselves. And instead of why don't you be Cowboys fans instead of being fans of hating the Eagles?
Yes.
Because there's a huge
Exactly.
difference. There are true Cowboys fans who will speak truth, and then there's Cowboys fans that love hating the Eagles. They'll talk more about the Eagles than they do their own team. Shut up.
And you know what the trend of that is? It's a lot of Cowboys fans that are in this area or outside of Dallas. I've never been to Dallas, but I always hear from people who have been there.
Different fans.
That Dallas,
Different fans.
Dallas fans that are actually living in Dallas are actually pretty down to earth and pretty reasonable. They're not like the cockroaches around here. So I completely agree with you. It's
there are, and it's funny because to that point, I know Cowboys fan. I know a couple Cowboys fans, and one of them I've had conversations with about Dak Prescott, and he's like, I can't believe there are people who would actually take him over Carson Wentz. They're insane. And this is a Cowboys fan. He's like, I don't want Dak. He's like, Dak Prescott's not that. He's like, I don't think he's that good.
Guess what?
And that's a Cowboys fan.
Guess what? Your quarterback got Ezekiel Elliott back this week. That was the conversation. Dan Bailey. I heard Dan Bailey was the reason.
Missed. How many people did he miss?
Bailey was the problem.
He missed 2.
I heard about Dan Bailey. I heard about Ezekiel Elliott. And you know what? At the end of the day, and they had a couple good weeks where they looked strong. More often than not, they have looked awful. Dak has totally regressed. And at
Yes.
this point, it's pathetic that you're calling for Tony Romo to come back out of the booth to start quarterbacking your team.
They crucified Tony Romo. Let's not forget
That's like
about
us
that.
calling for McNabb,
Yeah.
Ryan.
They went from calling Dak Prescott Mr. Dak Attack to next week saying we want freaking Tony Romo. Can we stop? At the end of the day, when your season is over and their season is over, you cannot say anything to
Take the
me.
L. Take the
Nothing.
L, yes.
Especially when the Eagles go and they actually win a playoff game this year. Once again, they will have nothing to say.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, last year, we were the best team in football. We got Dak Attack. We got Zeke. Well, they got one and done.
The self-anointed America's team, and that's all bullshit that was created by them to create a brand for their team. If anybody's America's team, it's the Patriots, just because they're the Patriots. And, oh, by the way, they're the winningest team over the last 15 or 20 years.
The America's team thing is such horseshit because you know how that started, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roger Staubach.
Yeah.
Roger Staubach, okay? It's not Roger
Not
relevant
relevant.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
No,
man.
it's not relevant.
Ridiculous.
Your titles 20 years ago, and again, hey, mad props to all that you guys have done over the
Mad
years.
credit, yeah.
But you know what? There was a time where the Pirates won titles. Pirates haven't done shit. Somebody said to me, oh, well, at least I was alive when my team won a championship. Well, there's fucking people that were alive when the Indians won championships in the 40s, okay? So that doesn't mean shit. It's at this point,
like
it's irrelevant.
That'd be like us bragging about Flyers Stanley Cups. Like that's
Back
what it
in
would be like.
76.
Exactly. Like that's what it would be like. Honestly, it's on
Oh
the
my
same
God.
level.
And I'm just going to wrap it up with this, okay? That's like us bragging about the titles from the 60s and 40s. People want to ignore that they didn't have, just because it's not called a Super Bowl, they still won the NFL
still won
championship.
it.
They've won titles. It's not a Super Bowl. Oh, people only remember won the Super Bowl.
But we never bring it up.
They say that's when it was relevant. Well, guess what? Something from 20 fucking years ago is not relevant now.
Well, yeah, they said, show us your rings. Chuck Bednarik got a ring, okay?
Yeah.
That team got rings.
But we never. The thing is, we never bring it up and talk about it as
Right.
as something that is relevant. That's the thing. We know it was so long ago. We want to talk about it now.
Right.
That's why you never hear it from us. But the Cowboys fans want to talk about it because it's all they cling on to.
Yeah.
That's all they can cling on to.
So we got to wrap it up, guys. I had to get that off my chest. I had to go a little bit of heel.
Nothing
promo
like a little
there.
bit of Cowboys
That shit was
hate
pissing
too.
me off
Yeah.
earlier.
See, this is what we need. Now we need a little. Yeah, now I feel better. Now I'm excited for Cowboys week again.
So-
I hope we beat you
Play-
next
I was
week
gonna
still.
say,
Yes.
play
With
Nick-
our backups.
Play Nick
Sorry.
Foles for 4
So-
quarters.
Put Pumphrey in there now on one leg.
So, again, thank you guys for chiming in on YouTube, chiming in on Facebook, checking us out if you were on Periscope, any platform. If you're listening on SoundCloud later on, thank you very much. So live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, thank you BMW of Atlantic City, thank you Gibson Mayer LLC, thank you StreamSmart.com and ScanzanoSports.com. Ryan, awesome job over there in the ones and
Ryan.
twos.
You too, guys.
Chux, Chrome, Paulie, guys, enjoy the week. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We'll see you guys.
Fly Eagles fly.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next year.